show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just coming up to 12 o'clock on Monday, the 8th of September. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Nana Akweer. Good morning.
Now, if Labour didn't have enough problems, more than 1,000 small boat migrants arrived on Shabana Mahmood, the new First Home Secretary's, her first full day. All of this as the party begins to search for its deputy leader.
As day 2 of the Trade Union Conference gets underway, the General Secretary of the TUC, Paul Nowak, tells GB News the government have to start delivering on their manifesto promises.
Today in my Congress speech, I'll be asking the government to show whose side they're on, to be on the side of working class communities up and down the country and to deliver the change that people voted for.
Well, there's chaos in the capital. Yes, London commuters are facing severe disruptions as a tube strike shuts down services, the first of many days.
Fat-busting pills, cheats that cost less than jabs could hit the UK next year to help overweight Brits who shun the injections lose weight.
A very good afternoon. We're taking you live to Hyde Park, where shortly there will be a 41-gun salute to mark the 3rd anniversary of the accession of King Charles to the throne.
So what you can see on the screen now of the 41-gun salute at Hyde Park, of course, we're looking at those guns right now, and any moment we'll hear them, and it's very traditional, isn't it? There's a lot of history behind it.
There's a huge amount of history behind it. This is all born of when a ship used to go into a harbour, to a fort, to a port, and with these old sort of in the days of sail, the ship would have many cannon on board. To prove that it wasn't attacking one of these forts, it would fire blanks. It would fire its cannon to prove that there weren't any cannonballs in there, that it was a friendly ship, that it was coming into harbour for good reason. And this became a ceremony. It's just begun. Let's listen in to some of these shots for King Charles. Well, here to discuss not only the salute that is taking place for His Majesty, but His Majesty's anniversary on the throne is Richard Fitzwilliams, the royal commentator. Richard, thanks for joining us. This, of course, an annual celebration in Hyde Park.
Yes, absolutely. The King's Troop, Royal Horse Artillery, they date back from 1947, where they were founded by the King Charles's grandfather, King George VI. And there's no question that this is obviously one of those moments that you think back and look at the reign, which I have to say has been a truly remarkable one, even at this short period, because geopolitically, I mean, the monarchy has been involved in soft power and projected it in the most extraordinary way, not only, for example, as King of Canada when King Charles opened the Canadian Parliament, but of course we're looking at next week's state visit, a second unprecedented for American president of President Trump.
And of course, these are the occasions when we'll see these guns go off. A visiting head of state like President Trump. We saw the guns go off for Emmanuel Macron, the French president, when he visited too. But in terms of the fixed moments of the year, it's only 4: Accession Day, the King's birthday, the King's official birthday, and Coronation Day. A really quite special and historic way to mark these occasions.
Very historic, and interesting too that we are the last country in Europe to have a coronation, and I think that we saw this absolutely extraordinary ceremony, of course deeply religious, and King Charles is someone who is not only thoughtful but someone who has a great deal of faith. Attended by over 200 countries. That gives you an idea of the fascination in our monarchy and also the interest in it.
Now, I just want to ask you, because there are 41 of them, why is that?
41, it's what has tended to be the tradition. And this occurs, these salutes occur, for example, in Hyde Park with the King's Troop. Then they also occur at the Tower of London with the Honorary Artillery Company, which is remarkable indeed, dating back from the period of Henry VII.
No, it is extraordinary to see the history here, the way that this evolved through the Napoleonic Wars and became such a staple of a salute. But of course, this is all in the context of wider royal news. Prince Harry is going to be back in the United Kingdom later on this year, perhaps later on in the next few weeks. What do we know about when Prince Harry will actually return to the United Kingdom?
No, well, Prince Harry is actually returning for 4 days today. The reason that it is today, which of course is the anniversary which we've been discussing, is because he is attending the Well Child Awards. This is one of his charities, and he's likely reportedly to stay for some 4 days. There's a great deal of speculation as to whether or not he and King Charles will meet during this period. My own feeling is that it probably will not happen, but there has been a tremendous amount of publicity already about this, a lot of discussion. In July, it was discovered several royal aides were together at the Royal Overseas League, and this got a lot of publicity too. There's no doubt that there have been problems in the first period of King Charles's reign, and exacerbated by, in my opinion anyway, the way the Sussexes have behaved, and also linked, of course, to Prince Andrew, who's in disgrace.
Now, of course, he's not the only royal on the move. Princess Kate, she is currently on a sort of, she's on an event today. What are people saying about her blonde hair as well? I preferred her dark. I preferred the dark hair. I really did.
It's actually rather significant, Nana, because there are those who feel that this is a superficial detail, but in point of fact, every detail about the world's most glamorous royal couple, and I'm obviously referring to the Prince and Princess of Wales, is of interest. And yes, what we've seen is her hair going a great deal lighter and then appearing, I thought, to go a great deal or a good deal darker. So we'll just have to see what she decides. I mean, often if you have a particular hair colour, and this is of interest, by the way, as was what she wears, because there's a tremendous, it's a Kate effect. Billions are linked to this in the British fashion industry. It's a very important point. So what we've seen is much lighter colour, and I thought probably the reason that she changed the colour of her hair was, you know, it has been, she's recovered from cancer, and this, she's in remission, and this is obviously tremendously significant, and it must have been such a traumatic time for her. And so often, you know, you get a new look, and she seems to be experimenting.
I thought it might be a wig, because I wear them all the time. I mean, I went blonde, I had a great time. It's true, they have more fun. But talk about the engagement that she's currently going to be doing.
The engagement that this is linked, I think, to early childhood, is it not today?
I think that is indeed the one, yes.
It's her particular passion. This is very, very significant because in the early years, I mean, this is what she says is going to be her life's work, that she believes so much in our lives is linked to what happens in the first years of our early childhood, and she's been behind a great deal of research that is going on this particular topic. So this, just as Prince William, for example, in homelessness, mental health, and the Earthshot Prize, so this is something that, you know, she's particularly keen on. We also, it was rather good to see both of them cheering on at respective football matches.
Now, Richard, do hold with us. We are just hearing that there may be some news coming in, some more royal news, so we're going to just hold our horses on this point. And brilliantly, as a visual metaphor, horses are no longer being held as they charge across Hyde Park. There we can see the King's Royal Troop Artillery. Is that a gallop or a canter going across there? Just talk to us about some of the images we're seeing on screen now.
Yes, I would say that I'm not an expert when it comes to, I'd say they were having a canter now, and it looked like a bit of a gallop to me, but your metaphor was extremely apt. And what you're seeing, of course, they do with such precision. One of the interesting aspects of this is that in Britain, I think our ceremonial is the best in the world. I think it's what attracts large numbers of people, not just tourists. And what we're seeing now is the drill, part of the drill.
Now, Richard, some breaking news just into us. We are seeing reports that Prince Harry will be obtaining police protection. Of course, Prince Harry visiting the United Kingdom today and for the days to come, all on the anniversary of his father's accession to the throne. Reports in the press now that he will be receiving police protection. This after protracted legal battles where he was arguing for this police protection and the Home Office was arguing against it, as was indeed the Crown.
Well, it does depend, because police protection might not be the same as RAVIC, which is the Royal Protection Arm, who are the armed guards who would protect him ad hocly, which is what the agreement was, that they will decide on a case-by-case basis. It wasn't going to be something that he was always going to get. So although they're saying police protection, I'd like to get more detail and find out whether it's actually the RAVIC Royal Protection, which is one tier above where they are armed, and that is very different.
Well, the news we have currently is that the Duke was escorted by a serving Metropolitan Police officer as he arrived to the United Kingdom. So you might well be right there, that that this is sort of one step below that supreme protection. Should we get Richard's reaction here that Prince Harry is getting some form of police protection here in the United Kingdom?
Well, Nana's just summarised it, actually, because it is divided. This has to be emphasised, obviously, in when he lost his case, and this was in May. He went on the BBC and put in a very emotional, he was on, in fact, for over half an hour, which hadn't apparently been intended. What he'd wanted was automatic police protection for himself and his family whenever they visited the United Kingdom. What's being done, and it's decided, as Nana was saying, by REVEC, which is the committee that makes this particular decision. What was decided, that it would be decided he would get protection on a case-by-case basis. But what he wanted, and what he was so angry about, was that he didn't get it automatically. There is a special category for VIPs, which does involve them getting it automatically. That's what he wanted. He said he'd go to or appeal to the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary and so forth. One of the problems also with King Charles meeting him during the case was the King's position in court, that it is, so to speak, the King's bench. If, for example, he met Prince Harry and there was a court case, which there was, and if the Prince said something or claimed the King had said something, this could be very embarrassing and very difficult to handle in a court. So what we need to establish is this being done on a permanent basis, as Prince Harry wanted, or is it just in this particular case when he's over for Well Child and for other charitable activities? It was a very, very sensitive point.
It will be interesting to see, and whether he gets the top tier or whether it's just sort of the normal sort of lower level. Really good to talk to you, Richard Fitzwilliams. Thank you very much. He's a royal commentator. It's just gone 12 minutes after 12.
Yeah, Nana, I think you might be right here. I think this is likely to be not the very tip-top level of protection, but we'll get much more on that story, and indeed lots more to come. But let's for now catch up on those latest headlines with Tatiana Sanchez.
Good afternoon. The top story. Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, has confirmed she will not be running for Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Labour's ruling body meets today to draw up plans for a deputy leadership election as MPs consider whether to enter the race to replace Angela Rayner. The National Executive Committee holds talks aimed at deciding on a timeline and rules for the contest, including how many nominations from MPs will be needed for candidates to make a ballot. It's as the Home Secretary says the UK could suspend visas from countries that do not play ball and agree to returns deals for migrants. It follows her comments saying that migrants will be returned to France imminently. She hosts a security alliance today alongside ministers from countries like America and Canada to discuss the rise of people smuggling gangs. It comes after 1,000 migrants crossed the Channel on the Home Secretary's first full day in office, bringing the total this year to over 30,000. Elsewhere, commuters across the capital are facing severe disruption as a tube strike has shut down nearly all London Underground services. Tube staff have begun a 5-day strike over pay and conditions. TfL has offered a 3.4% pay rise, which it described as fair, and said it cannot afford to meet the RMT's demand for a cut in the working week. Nick Dent, London Underground's Director of Customer Operations, said union demands for a cut in the 35-hour week was simply unaffordable and would cost hundreds of millions of pounds. Tube drivers can already earn up to £72,849 a year from a 35-hour week, with benefits including 43 days holiday and extensive travel perks. The Prince of Wales is to be joined by the Princess of Wales at an engagement to commemorate the life of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, marking the 3-year anniversary of her death. The Prince had originally been scheduled to attend the event alone. Kensington Palace sources say the Princess of Wales was keen to join her husband to commemorate and celebrate the life of the late Queen. And Benjamin Netanyahu is at the scene where at least 6 people have been killed and 7 seriously wounded in a shooting attack in Jerusalem. 9 people with gunshot wounds were taken to local hospitals, along with 3 others injured by broken glass. 2 attackers boarded a bus and opened fire as it reached a major intersection at the northern entrance to Jerusalem, on a road that leads to Jewish settlements in East Jerusalem. Police said 2 attackers were shot dead soon after. A spokesperson for Israeli Emergency Services MDA said among the 5 victims were a man around 50 years old and 3 men aged around 30. Those are the latest headlines for now. More in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
And here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3510 and €1.1522. The price of gold, £2,674.27 per ounce. The FTSE 100 is at 9,223 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's now 16 minutes past midday. Now, the newly appointed Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, says that migrants will be returned to France immediately or imminently.
That's as she prepares to host a security alliance alongside ministers from countries like America and Canada to discuss the rise of people smuggling gangs.
Well, it comes after 1,000 migrants crossed the Channel on the very day that the Home Secretary had her first full day in office, bringing the total this year to well over 30,000.
So joining us now to discuss this is UK border expert Henry Bolton. Henry, really good to talk to you. Firstly, before we get there, Shabana Mahmood, do you think she's quite a good appointment, actually, for this specific position?
She seems quite determined. The words in relation to that she's coming out with and the attitude she's coming out with, I think, relating to the borders and small boats and the illegal immigration, it's all the right things and it seems to be sincere. Do I think it's a sensible political appointment? If she's successful in this post and in stopping the boats, then yes, of course, because the results will speak for themselves. But I think beyond that, it probably wasn't the most astute political move. But let's see how she does as Home Secretary.
Now, of course, this meeting today, I think it's with the Five Eyes countries, Britain, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the Home Secretaries or representatives of the Home Department from each of those countries, all meeting today, all facing this similar challenge. Of course, some of these countries have dealt with illegal migration in a more thorough way than others. Will it be interesting to learn from the Australian example here?
Yes, there are lessons to be learnt from around the world, and there are established sort of methods of best practice that have been discussed for the last 25 years or so. And I helped formulate some of those. There's actually a document that's laid out, and 57 countries signed up to best practice in borders. We still don't apply any of that best practice in the UK. It's bizarre. But that aside, people talk about Australia, and there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from Australia. But one of the things that I keep trying to emphasize is that the Australian situation has some fundamental differences. So, for example, the vessels used by the immigrants or the illegal migrants that Australia was having to deal with were in the main ocean-going steel and some wooden built boats. They were quite substantial boats, and you could put a landing party on those boats and take control of them. That's, part of the pushback. It wasn't literally pushing them with warships or so. It was taking control of those vessels and escorting them back. We can't do that with a dinghy. You can't put sort of half a dozen or 8 Royal Marines or Border Force people on board an overladen inflatable dinghy in the middle of the Channel. The situation is different in a number of respects. So learn lessons, yes, but we must not make assumptions that just because Australia did something in a certain way, it would work here. We have to come up with bespoke solutions depending on the situation we face.
Now, John Healey said that he should work, the Ministry of Defence should work hand in hand with the Home Office, which I think was a wise thing. But then he later said that if we left the ECHR, we'd be the only country in NATO to be out of it, which is not true. Do you have any confidence in John Healey?
Not when it comes to knowing which countries in NATO are signatories to other conventions and agreements. No, clearly not. I don't know whether he misspoke or really whether he believed that.
I think he didn't know.
No, of course, America, the United States, Canada are not members of the European Convention on Human Rights. It's nothing to do with NATO. NATO doesn't even really sort of acknowledge it. Doesn't have anything to do with the ECHR. Of course. One of the things I've been arguing for years, Nana, since 2016, if not before, is for the United Kingdom to come up with a comprehensive and fully integrated national border strategy, bringing all of the efforts of government together, align them towards achieving a set of strategic objectives. We have never done that. I've written such documents for 14 countries. I've tried to persuade the British government that we need to do the same thing here. I know the British government have sat down in conferences at senior director level, ministerial director level conferences discussing this very point. I know that because I've chaired those conferences. And but the UK just simply doesn't want to seem to engage on it. Why? I don't know. It's it's a failure of leadership. But you're right. It's good that the MOD is now getting involved. It's been involved before. We've attached senior officers to the Home Office to help them with planning and so on, but they've been reporting to senior civil servants, not to junior ministers or ministers. The whole thing has been constructed very, very poorly. What we need to do is we need to establish, and I've argued this for at least 9 years now, we need a national coordinator for borders. That national coordinator needs to, there are immediate things we need to do on the borders, particularly with the boats.
Not another civil servant. John,
no, not a civil servant.
Henry, there's too many of them. Listen, we could talk about this for ages because we need to sort it out. They need to sort it out. I don't see them going anywhere fast. But Henry, we have run out of time. Thank you very much. That is Henry Bolton. He's an expert in border security.
Well, now, a government spokesman has previously said that the new accommodation model being sought after by the Home Office for asylum seekers is designed to work more closely with councils to ensure basic temporary accommodation is available for asylum seekers, reducing pressure on local housing markets and with full consideration of potential impacts on local communities.
This should also add that the migrants should be detained, because if you don't know who they are, they shouldn't then be let to roam free. You know, I think that's why they should have these. That's what they should do. That's what I think. What do you think? gbnews.com/your say.
Well, lots more coming up on today's programme, including chaos in the capital. Yes, London commuters facing severe disruptions today as the first day of many days of tube strikes breaks down service and grinds the capital to a halt. But after the break...
As day 2 of the Trades Unions Conference gets underway, the General Secretary of the TUC, Paul Nowak, tells GB News the government have to start delivering on their manifesto promises.
Today in my Congress speech, I'll be asking the government to show whose side they're on, to be on the side of working class communities up and down the country and to deliver the change that people voted for.
Well, all of that and much more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
You'll be very familiar with Colin. He's at birthday parties all around Britain.
But he's not what you may think he is. He's not what he seems.
He's a frozen edition. You can see he's melting. It's an ice cream Colin the Caterpillar cake, which has come out in Marks and Spencer's.
I think we'll have to test that.
I think we will. Let's give it a go, shall we?
Test that. So you do the honours there.
Do you want to do it with me? And we can make a wish.
No. You do that. You go work away at that. While I talk to you guys, because...
Oh, wow.
Claire, there's a story today in the Daily Star about chocolate bars being tuneful. Tell us more.
So, a university professor at Bristol has come up with a design of music commissioned by a couple of chocolate companies. And apparently there is music that they're called the sweetest melody that will enhance the flavour of chocolate, enhance the flavour of eating. And if this actually goes the way that they think it might, then you should be playing music to the...
Does it tell you what type of music you should be playing?
The sweetest, kindest, soulful piece of...
Claire, he just ate your foot. I'll give you another foot. Oh,
no, you're
I've touched
fine.
it.
Absolutely fine.
Norman, pass me a plate.
OK. I would just say that if you go back far enough, the advert that I remember was tunes help you breathe more easily. But I noticed on Claire's story on in the Star, chocolate bar so tuneful. Next to it, thank you very much, is a headline saying, "I hate marathons," which is Mo Farah. But apparently he's not talking about Snickers bars, he's talking about running.
Maybe we're all eating too many chocolate bars.
Well, yeah.
I'm not going for a run.
Yeah, because Snickers bars used to be called Marathon.
They did.
Yeah. They did, yeah.
Much better name.
That was that.
Right, should we give this a go?
Let's give the other got a piece,
I
yeah.
will say, quite difficult to cut, because obviously it's frozen.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 26 minutes past midday and choppy waters for the government. Yes, are cracks beginning to show in that relationship between the trade unions and the Labour Party?
Yes, of course. The leader of the Trade Union Congress, Paul Nowak, has slammed Sir Keir Starmer's government for failing to deliver on its promises. Here is what he told GB News earlier.
Even the Prime Minister himself last week said that he understood that people were frustrated and angry that change hadn't been delivered as fast as people wanted. And that's what the government was elected 14 months ago to do. That manifesto had one word on the front of it, change. And I think for far too many people that still feels like a slogan rather than part of their everyday lives. So today in my Congress speech I'll be asking the government to show whose side they're on, to be on the side of working class communities up and down the country and to deliver the change that people voted for.
So, could the unthinkable happen? Could some trade unions actually break relations with the Labour Party?
Well, let's get more on this now with GB News political correspondent Olivia Utley, who's at the Trade Union Congress conference in Brighton. Olivia, just before we get stuck into the conference itself, I heard a little rumour that there is that Angela Rayner could actually return as deputy leader of the... not the Labour Party, but of... because she was deputy leader of the Labour Party, and then she was also deputy leader of something else.
She was deputy Prime Minister and deputy leader.
So she could return as the deputy leader of the Labour Party. Is that correct?
Oh, well, I technically, I guess she could. I don't think that will happen. Whoever runs as deputy leader of the Labour Party is going to need the support of 80 MPs, and I think it's unlikely that Angela Rayner would get that much support. But of course, the unions are very disappointed that Angela Rayner has gone. She was the bridge between the Starmer government, which is on the right of the Labour Party, and the unions themselves, and she was pushing through that workers' rights bill. Lots of unionists are now worried that that bill is going to be watered down. And lots of unions are now openly expressing their disappointment with Keir Starmer. I'm here with Daniel Kabidi, who is the General Secretary of the National Education Union. So, Daniel, do you think that the Prime Minister is letting down workers?
So I think people voted for change, and they are going to keep on voting for change until they get it. What we want from this Prime Minister is to deliver on his promises for working people. Our schools, they absolutely need investment. At the moment, we've got a Labour government making cuts to education, and this is not what the profession wants. It's not what our children and family want or need either.
You said there that people will keep voting for change until they get it. Are you suggesting they're perhaps threatening that people won't be supporting Labour in the next election? Will you yourself be supporting Labour in the next election? Would you consider ties with the Greens or Jeremy Corbyn's new party?
So I lead an unaffiliated trade union. I will always argue that my union should not affiliate to any political party. I will personally vote for the political party that promises to invest in children, to end child poverty, to build the good homes, and bring in the decent jobs that families and people need.
If the workers' rights bill is watered down, do you think unions that are affiliated with the Labour Party, not yours, but there are others which are, do you think they will be moving away from Labour?
So I think there is a big risk to Labour losing its close ties to the trade unions. There has been a manifesto of change promised. It is yet to be delivered, and we really want the Prime Minister to get on with delivering it.
Do you think it's insulting that Keir Starmer has chosen not to come to this Congress?
I think it's a decision for government who they send. We've got the Education Secretary speaking on behalf of government tomorrow. So as a leader of an education union, I'm quite satisfied with that.
It's not a bit of a snub that the Prime Minister, he's been to 4 in 5 of the last TUC Congress. It's not a bit of a snub that he's not here now?
I certainly don't take it personally, no.
What would you like to hear from Bridget Phillipson tomorrow?
I would like to hear her plan to lift children out of poverty, to invest in our children, and to make teaching an attractive profession again. Teachers and support staff have a really difficult time in schools at the moment, whether it's the crisis in SEND, there's a big crisis of engagement and attendance, education's in crisis. I want to hear about her plan to tackle it.
Thank you very much, Daniel Kebede. That was Daniel Kebede. Notice there, no promise that even he would vote for Keir Starmer at the next election. That's the situation at the TUC this Congress. Back to you in the studio.
Wow, that is really significant stuff, isn't it? Lots of rumours about which unions might disaffiliate and whether Unite might, but actually it's the members. It's the members that matter so much in this case, and then the people that are affiliated to the unions themselves. Whether or not the big unions disaffiliate from the Labour Party, what might the people connected to those unions be doing?
Well, again, what I was trying to get out, Deputy Leader of the Labour Party, that is an elected position.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm saying that Angela Rayner could be re-elected. There's no real reason, there's no rule that said that she can't be.
Well, the rules are being written as we speak. The Labour Party NEC is meeting to decide the rules for this contest, the length of time the contest will take, and the conditions for those who might stand. So, I mean, it could be that during this show, we learn those rules and the timetable. Most importantly, the timetable for this contest. The government certainly wants it to be as short as possible.
Well, I think Emily Thornberry's chucking her hat in the ring as well, so that will be very interesting.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more to come on today's programme.
Yes, the Prime Minister has been warned the deputy leadership race is a make or break moment for his government, with the party facing the fight of its life amid the rise of reform. We'll be bringing you the runners and riders later on in the show. All that and much more after your latest news headlines.
Thank you very much, Nana. The top story, Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, has confirmed she will not be running for Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Labour's ruling body meets today to draw up plans for a deputy leadership election as MPs consider whether to enter the race to replace Angela Rayner. Well, the newly appointed Home Secretary says migrants will be returned to France imminently. That's as she prepares to host a security alliance alongside ministers from countries like America and Canada to discuss the rise of people smuggling gangs. Commuters across the capital are facing severe disruption as a tube strike has shut down nearly all London Underground services. Tube staff have begun a 5-day strike over paying conditions. And the Prince of Wales is to be joined by the Princess of Wales at an engagement to commemorate the life of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, marking the 3-year anniversary of her death. Those are the latest headlines for now. More news at the top of the hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Well, do stay with us here on Good Afternoon Britain, because there's so much more to come. Indeed, chaos in the capital. My morning commute was it's normally about half an hour. It was an hour and 10 minutes today. London commuters are facing severe disruptions as a tube strike shuts down services across the capital.
Everyone's on the roads, that's the problem. All that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's set to be a day of sunshine and showers, but many eastern areas will see a mostly dry day, plenty of sunny spells, though feeling a little cooler than it did yesterday. And the reason for the showers, well, it's all thanks to low pressure just to the south of Iceland, dragging in some frontal systems at times. So it's mainly western areas that will see the bulk of the showers today. Some could turn heavy. We may see some hail and thunder, but most showers should be light to moderate, though they could be fairly blustery around western coasts of Scotland, and many eastern areas should avoid the bulk of the showers. So a mostly dry day ahead for much of England and Wales, and seeing the return of the sunshine after quite an unsettled day yesterday. Similar temperatures, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius. Then to finish off the day, we are still going to see some of these showers continue. Once again, fairly blustery around western coasts of Scotland, but across the far northeast, it should be a mostly dry and clear end to the day. Similar across Northern Ireland, northwestern parts of England, still a chance we could see some showers, and also across Wales and parts of southwest England. But across central areas, parts of the east, southeast, once again, a dry and clear end to the day. And any showers remaining across the west will soon ease away through the course of the night, and it's going to leave plenty of clear spells across the country, so it is going to be feeling fairly cool, quite fresh by the time we reach the early hours of the morning. We may even see some patchy mist and fog in places. But a slightly different story across southern parts of Wales, southwest England, more cloud and a bit of a breeze picking up here. But it is set to be a cool, fresh start, lows reaching around 7 to 8 degrees Celsius. A fairly similar day on Tuesday. Once again, we could see some showers, particularly across the west, but for the bulk of the country, a dry and settled day ahead. Across parts of Wales, southwest England, once again, we'll see more clouds, so hazy sorts of spells of sunshine, and then once again, we could see some heavy downpours by the afternoon. But once again, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBNews.com. Kent drivers face disruptions on the M20 westbound between Junction 3 and Junction 1 due to a vehicle fire closing all lanes. On the M6 in Cumbria, a broken down vehicle on the southbound exit slip at Junction 36 has closed one of 2 lanes. Normal traffic conditions are anticipated by 12:30 today. Commuters should exercise caution and consider alternative routes. On the trains, major disruption affects Chiltern Railways to and from London Marylebone, and TfL strikes in London, meaning no underground services on any line. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 37 minutes past midday, and we can go live to Downing Street now, where GB News political editor Christopher Hope has just left a briefing with the Prime Minister's official spokesman. Christopher, what have we learned?
That's right, quite an interesting briefing here just now with the PM's official spokesman and the press secretary. Just looking at this, the NEC rules being set out, the National Executive Committee rules being set out about how this Labour government will find, or Labour Party, I should say, will choose a new deputy leader. It's been made very clear in the briefing just now that the new deputy leader will not necessarily be guaranteed a place in government and will not be called the Deputy Prime Minister. The PM spokesman said this, that David Lammy is a Deputy Prime Minister and will remain the Deputy Prime Minister. Sources tell us that's a party role with party responsibilities. So what it means is, if a candidate comes forward from the Labour backbenches who is critical to Sir Keir Starmer, that person won't be given a job in government necessarily and will sit there on the backbenches and increasingly, I expect, become a source of discontent over coming months and years if they're critical of Keir Starmer. Don't forget, each candidate needs 80 MPs to back them and 20% of the parliamentary Labour Party. Added to that, they need 5% of the constituency Labour parties individually around the country, and 3 unions. 320,000 members get to vote on a new leader after the 8th of October. Later today, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, will be speaking to the PLP, the Parliamentary Labour Party. He will not be saying who he backs to be deputy leader of the party, staying above that. But there's real jeopardy here if someone like Lucy Powell steps in, for example, Louise Haigh, others too. People who have been sacked or lost their jobs under this government may feel a bit bitter about it. Emily Thornberry, of course, who chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee, if she steps up, gets the votes, that could be a real stone in the shoe of this government going forward.
Now, that is a serious matter, but the government is, of course, facing so many fires on so many fronts at the moment, Chris. I mean, it's just looking at the number of small boats coming across, looking at the budget that is being prepared for, looking at the lack of houses that are being built. I mean, I'm looking across all of these different departments. The farming minister lost his job, as did the Secretary of State for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs. The Home Office team have been completely cleared out. This reshuffle has jumbled up government so much. Is this a bit of an acknowledgement that the government, just particularly on domestic matters, is failing, frankly, to hold back the flames in all of these different areas?
Well, Tom, Number 10 would of course deny that. They would say, in fact they did say in the briefing just now, that it's phase 2 of delivery. They've gone past phase 1. That ended on Monday with a shaking up of a few jobs behind the scenes, the appointment of Darren Jones as the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister. Delivery, delivery, delivery. That is the focus. And in fact, tomorrow's Cabinet meeting here in Downing Street will be about growth. That's the first time we'll see all members of the new Cabinet being assembled. Other things to bring to you, though, a big moment tonight at 7:30. We'll be seeing Mahmoud Abbas, who's the Palestinian Authority leader. He'll be here in Downing Street. Of course, the fate of Palestine, will Palestine be recognised as a country by the UK in short order before the UN General Assembly meets? That is at play at the moment. So we'll be seeing Mahmoud Abbas, who leads the Palestinian Authority, in Downing Street later today. We also heard from Number 10. We understand, we think the PM won't be addressing the Trade Union Congress. I think it's been mentioned before that it's Bridget Phillipson who's the Education Secretary. The government says behind me that that's quite normal. He goes sometimes, not other times. I should say he was there 4 out of the previous 5 years. The PM has addressed that meeting, but he did meet with TUC officials last week. And just finally, there's no plans to water down the workers' rights agreements as set out in some newspapers today. There's speculation with the removal of Angela Rayner and Justin Madders, her deputy, from that department would mean that wouldn't happen. It's going to happen. They're going to reverse those laws amendments next week.
I get the sense that even if the government would want to, they'd face another rebellion like they did over the disability benefit reforms. Chris, I hope we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks very much for bringing us all of that live from Downing Street.
Right, so commuters in London are facing major disruptions as the latest industrial action on the tube network hits the capital.
Yes, members of the RMT union are demanding a 75% discount on all national rail travel and a 32-hour working week to boot.
Absolute cheek. Now, implementing these changes to working hours could cost around about £200 million.
That's money that would go on fares, I presume. But the union's General Secretary, Eddie Dempsey, said they're not asking for a king's ransom and that fatigue and extreme shift rotations are serious issues impacting on our members' health and well-being.
Get out. Right, joining us now to discuss socialist commentator Curtis Daly, and also investigations campaign manager at the Taxpayer Alliance, Joanna Marchong. All right, I'm going to start with you, Curtis Daly. A 32-hour week, so the same amount of money, so that is ultimately a pay rise. I think they probably want more money as well. They're asking for pay rise as well, which is absurd. Plus 75% off travel, just like those who work for National Rail. Come on, they're having a laugh, aren't they?
Well, first I want to say this is so embarrassing for Keir Starmer and the Labour government. Remember when they attacked the Conservatives for saying, well, they won't get round the table when all these strikes happened? They've done the exact same thing. I mean, earlier this year we had doctors striking, and now we've got RMT striking. So this is clear hypocrisy from the government. So obviously, to address your point, I think this opens up a really interesting conversation, because obviously Eddie Dempsey was talking about fatigue. A few years ago, there was a bus driver. He fell asleep and crashed into 6 cars because he worked a 14-hour day. And what's really sad about that story, I was reading about it today, one of the victims of that story had to have therapy for a year because their baby granddaughter was in the car. And I think we should have a wider discussion about tiredness and fatigue.
Yeah,
so what they're asking...
That's true, Curtis, but 32 hours, so chopping off about 8 hours on a standard working day. Sorry, let me just interject there. So what are you saying? Are you saying that they're right to be asking for less working hours and more money and the 75% off all travel?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think what's really important is we wouldn't have a middle class without unions. They've created the middle class, and fighting for not just pay, but a lot of it is down to conditions is really important. We wouldn't have a middle class without it. And I think what does get lost from the conversation often, I'm glad we're having it here, by the way, because usually we don't talk about it, is always based on pay when it should be conditions. I mean, my stepdad is also a bus driver, and I tell you what, when I used to live at home, I love him, but he'd come back knackered after every shift, and he wouldn't get enough time to recuperate. Now, of course, they're
okay, listen, Curtis, can we bring in Joanna now? We don't want all these stories. There's too many of them. I'm teasing.
Well, I'm just explaining the reality.
No, I hear you now. I'm just teasing you, Curtis. All right, Joanna Marchand, what's the reality of it then?
I think the reality is that it's completely outrageous that they're asking for the impossible. For them to ask for a reduction in working hours without a reduction in pay, whilst taxpayers are going to have to pay for, it's going to cost taxpayers £200 million so that they can, they can get everything that they want. They are asking for the 75% off all rail, even though they already have discounts which extend to friends and family. And this is, again, on top of their 70 grand a year salary and their gold-plated pensions. So if they're very tired and they're lethargic, I think they need to give a bit and realise, okay, if you want to work less hours, accept less pay.
It is extraordinary sometimes to peer into the front of a tube train. I grant, Curtis, you were talking about bus drivers there, but of course the tubes are on strike today too, perhaps more damagingly for getting around the capital. The number of people that these peak tube trains take, I mean, thousands upon thousands of people per train, and some of these lines, one train every 45 seconds. I mean, you can just imagine the scale of disruption that creates in a city of 10 million people. But you look at what these tube drivers do. They operate on some lines that literally could be automated. They were designed to be automated. In Paris, you have automated central lines and fewer strikes. For France, I mean, isn't that incredible? Curtis, what do you say about the argument that these trains could be automated, and of course robots, they don't need to sleep?
So we can't even get fast rail in this country, barely. So the idea that we can automate trains and tube drivers is never going to happen, not for a long time. But also, I don't like the idea that we're talking about removing people's jobs. The number one priority of a government...
we can be more efficient, Curtis, and money talks. We can be more efficient. Can I just quickly get a final line for time, because she hasn't said very much.
Sorry, Nana, I've got about 5 seconds there. The number one priority for a government is to make sure we have full employment, but not just full employment, but high quality, high-paid jobs. Now, of course, there is disruption. That's the kind of the point of unions.
Can we just get a final...
The reason why there's disruption is because it shows how important unions are.
I'm so sorry, Curtis. We are really short of time here. We're going to get one quick word to Joanna, and then we're going to have to end it.
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
I think what you're saying about automation is correct, and looking forward, we do have to think about automation. But right now, in the present, we need to make sure that to become a tube driver is actually more accessible. You're saying these people are tired, it's because they have to spend a number of years working for TfL, and then they are allowed to do the training for up to 6 months in order to become tube drivers. What we need is to make that more accessible and to get more people into the industry so that, people aren't going to be so tired, and we don't have to rely on these people striking that are just quite lazy.
OK, well, Joanna, Curtis, thanks indeed for joining us. I'm afraid we do have to get to that ad break a little bit late, but thanks indeed for joining us. Let's have a look at that travel weather.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. An unsettled couple of days to come across parts of Spain and Italy with some heavy showers around. But for the Canaries, actually, next couple of days, largely fine, apart from the odd shower around. Plenty of sunshine, actually, for parts of Portugal and western Spain. But for eastern Spain, the Balearics, parts of Italy, southern France, some heavy and thundery downpours around. But for much of Greece and Turkey, fine, a couple of days to come, with temperatures here reaching the high 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world, but look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Good afternoon, Britain. So what do you think? Fat-busting pills are now expected to be available for Brits next year.
Yeah, this is all according to the drugs giant Eli Lilly, which of course makes those famous fat jabs as things stand. But they're going to be making a pill version of them. And could this bring about a real weight loss revolution for anyone who really hates the thought of needles having those pills?
I can't inject myself with anything. I mean, I try and I'm like... I couldn't. And after I got pregnant, after you have the baby, I then had to inject my stomach. You had to inject us with stuff, yeah, because I'm rhesus negative and my partner was rhesus positive. These are different blood. So you have to put this injection.
I've never had to inject myself with anything. I'm not sure if I'd be able to do it.
So I think the pills are good, because people who probably take them love popping things in their mouth.
Yeah, I mean, taking a pill is a much, much easier thing to do. I think there is sort of... People are scared of injections, vaccines, things with needles. It can seem much more scary than just a pill. I think it might be easier for people to take. But then there's the flip side of that. Will they be too easy to take? You know, will people who don't need them start taking them?
People are doing that anyway. People who don't need the fat jabs are taking them. And the problem with them, obviously, are the unintended side effects. So some people are getting pancreatitis and other things like that. Some people end up being sick constantly. I mean, a couple of people have died simply. I don't know whether it's because they got dodgy ones online or because their body just couldn't take it. So
yeah, well,
you've got to be careful. Always consult the doctor before you do anything like that.
Very good advice. But, of course, there are side effects to being very overweight as well. So for lots of people, they do massively improve their lives. So maybe these pills coming to the UK next year could be a lot better. But much more to discuss in the next hour of the programme. Shall we catch up with you after the weather?
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's set to be a day of sunshine and showers, but many eastern areas will see a mostly dry day, plenty of sunny spells, though feeling a little cooler than it did yesterday. And the reason for the showers, well, it's all thanks to low pressure just to the south of Iceland, dragging in some frontal systems at times. So it's mainly western areas that will see the bulk of the showers today. Some could turn heavy. We may see some hail and thunder, but most showers should be light to moderate, though they could be fairly blustery around western coasts of Scotland, and many eastern areas should avoid the bulk of the showers. So a mostly dry day ahead for much of England and Wales, and seeing the return of the sunshine after quite an unsettled day yesterday. Similar temperatures, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius. Then to finish off the day, we are still going to see some of these showers continue. Once again, fairly blustery around western coasts of Scotland, but across the far northeast, it should be a mostly dry and clear end to the day. Similar across Northern Ireland, northwestern parts of England, still a chance we could see some showers, and also across Wales and parts of southwest England. But across central areas, parts of the east, southeast, once again, a dry and clear end to the day. And any showers remaining across the west will soon ease away through the course of the night, and it's going to leave plenty of clear spells across the country, so it is going to be feeling fairly cool, quite fresh by the time we reach the early hours of the morning. We may even see some patchy mist and fog in places. But a slightly different story across southern parts of Wales, southwest England, more cloud and a bit of a breeze picking up here. But it is set to be a cool, fresh start, lows reaching around 7 to 8 degrees Celsius. A fairly similar day on Tuesday. Once again, we could see some showers, particularly across the west, but for the bulk of the country, a dry and settled day ahead. Across parts of Wales, southwest England, once again, we'll see more clouds, so hazy sorts of spells of sunshine, and then once again, we could see some heavy downpours by the afternoon. But once again, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
I'm excited for them. They match each other in ambition, and it gives you faith, amen, that you can have it all, a successful career and start a family. I think it's very romantic. And I love the way that he celebrates her. I think that that's the sweetest thing to watch. I mean, they do celebrate each other, but watching the way Travis celebrates Taylor's wins is really, I mean, she could be an intimidating character. She's this self-made, very intelligent woman.
And they're just such a lovely couple together, aren't they, Kinsey? I mean, this is huge news all over the world. It got millions of likes within minutes, didn't it? But it's huge news stateside, because even the president was asked about it. And we've got a clip of that. Let's just have a listen to what he had to say.
Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are engaged, and the world wants your reaction, sir.
Well, I wish him a lot of luck. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy, and I think that she's a terrific person. So I wish them a lot of luck.
That's very nice, Kinsey. Very generous towards Taylor Swift, because he said previously, I think, that he hates her, hasn't he?
He did say that on Truth Social, so this is an improvement. Yeah, I mean, this is more than a celebrity couple. It's become a cultural milestone. They met through Travis's podcast. He went to her concert and was disappointed that he didn't get to meet her and was complaining about it on his podcast. And they quickly became the most talked about pairing in modern pop culture. She attends his games. NFL ratings have gone through the roof over it. And you're right, it is a national talking point. So, of course, we're excited 2 years after they started dating that they're going to take the next big step and get married.
When is the big day likely to be, Kinsey?
I think that they might keep this a secret from us.
The People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's fast approaching 1 o'clock on Monday, the 8th of September. I'm Nana Acquia.
And I'm Tom Harwood.
Now, if Labour didn't have enough problems, more than 1,000 small boat migrants arrived on Shabana Mahmood's first full day as Home Secretary. All of this as the party begins to search for a new deputy leader.
The Labour ruling NEC has set out the plan to select a new deputy leader of the Labour Party. We're going to have hustings on Wednesday and a vote in October. But the big issue here is this. The new deputy leader will not necessarily be given a job in government, potentially creating problems ahead for Sir Keir Starmer.
Interesting stuff. Elsewhere, a judge has sparked fury by wishing the 7/7 bombings mastermind all the best as he prepares to walk free. Nigel Farage says the judge should be sacked. Stay tuned for all the details.
A landmark new census has revealed schools are being forced to pick up the pieces for vulnerable children as overstretched health and social services fail them. Stay tuned for the details.
And this extraordinary case of the Australian mother who murdered her husband's parents by feeding them poisonous mushrooms. Well, she's been sentenced to a minimum term of 33 years behind bars.
Prince Harry is back in the UK. He's been in Windsor, where he laid a wreath and flowers, privately paying his respects to the late Queen. But after 18 months, will he finally meet his father?
Well, that's very interesting news from Christopher Hope there, that on Wednesday there's going to be a hustings of declared deputy leadership candidates. This is getting going really, really quickly. I mean, just in 2 days' time, there'll be a roster. Who do you think is going to throw their hat in the ring?
Well, you know, I did say earlier that I would like to see Angela Rayner do it because I want to see a bit more chaos and confusion. And also, I'd like to see the look on Keir Starmer's face. And I know
she gets elected back in.
And the unions would love her. I mean, they're still in love with her. I don't think that she meant to do anything disingenuous. She just didn't.
She avoided £40,000 in tax.
No, I'm not excusing her. I think, you know, what really got her in trouble was she was hoisted by her own petard. It was all the hypocrisy, you know, the way she called for so many people to resign, that even if there was some sort of, you know, even if you had some empathy for her, that just did it for me.
I don't know. I bought a house last year, and when I did that, and I went through all of the different, you know, you have your solicitor, you have your. If they tell you to seek expert tax advice, you blooming well go and seek expert tax advice. You don't go, I don't need to do that. You follow what your solicitor says.
Especially if it's her, and if you're in a position like that. But what she did is that classic thing, is she went with what she wanted to hear. And that's what she did. And we often do that, don't we? We want to hear this, so we don't do any more.
Wouldn't it be nice to pay £40,000 less than you might otherwise? But of course, there are some names that have already been bubbling up. One is Emily Thornberry.
Oh, no, didn't she cry when the Brexit result was announced?
But I do think the thing about Emily Thornberry is she's quite fun. She's a character in politics, and I think you do need those.
Keir Starmer, I don't think, really gets on with her, because remember, she was quite upset, wasn't she?
Yeah,
well, she got sacked.
Lord Hermer took her place.
Yes, exactly.
She was going to be Attorney General, and then the election happened, and suddenly she was kicked to the back benches, which I think was a bit cruel. Another name doing the rounds, Lisa Nandy.
She's a bit... To me, she seems a little bit weak. She doesn't really have chutzpah about it, or whatever that word is, where you've got a lot of character, a lot of fire, like Emily Thornberry. Emily Thornberry's got a lot of fire about her.
Here's a name to throw in the mix: Louise Hay, sacked as Transport Secretary after misdeclaring that a phone was stolen.
Well, perhaps if maybe Tulip Sadiq could get on board as well, then the two of them would probably make good company. Now, I don't know. None of those names feel very strong to me, and there is talk that they want it to be a woman, but I don't think that should matter. I think that's irrelevant.
No, it's interesting, isn't it, that when you ask someone in the Labour Party, you know, who should be the next Labour deputy leader, they don't talk about what they've done in their life, about their policies, their ideology. All they say is their gender or the place of their birth. I mean, surely
or that they're working class.
Right. Surely we need to set the immutable characteristics to one side and look at actually what they believe. Doesn't that matter more?
I think it does, really. But anyway, send us your thoughts, post your comments. Who do you think should be the deputy leader of the Labour Party? Go to gbnews.com as well for everything else. But first, let's get your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The top story. Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, has confirmed she won't be running for Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Labour's ruling body meets today to draw up plans for a deputy leadership election as MPs consider whether to enter the race to replace Angela Rayner. The National Executive Committee will hold talks aimed at deciding on a timeline and rules for the contest, including how many nominations from MPs will be needed for candidates to make a ballot. It's as the Home Secretary says the UK could suspend visas from countries that don't play ball and agree to return steals for migrants. She hosts a security alliance today alongside ministers from countries like America and Canada to discuss the rise of people smuggling gangs. It comes after 1,000 migrants crossed the English Channel on the Home Secretary's first full day in office, bringing the total this year to over 30,000. Downing Street has called on the RMT union and Transport for London to get back to the negotiating table to end the tube strike. Commuters across the capital are facing severe disruption as a tube strike has shut down almost all London Underground services. Tube staff have begun a 5-day strike over pay and conditions. TfL has offered a 3.4% pay rise, which it described as fair, and said it cannot afford to meet the RMT's demand for a cut in the working week. Nick Dent, London Underground's Director of Customer Operations, said union demands for a cut in the 35-hour week was simply unaffordable and would cost hundreds of millions of pounds. Tube drivers can already earn up to £72,849 a year for a 35-hour week. TUC General Secretary Paul Novak spoke this morning.
Obviously, decisions about the relationship between Unite and Labour are down to Sharon and her members. What I would say this is, even the Prime Minister himself last week said that he understood that people were frustrated and angry that change hadn't been delivered as fast as people wanted. And that's what the government was elected 14 months ago to do. That manifesto had one word on the front of it: change. And I think for far too many people that still feels like a slogan rather than part of their everyday lives. So today in my Congress speech I'll be asking the government to show whose side they're on, to be on the side of working class communities up and down the country, and to deliver the change that people voted for. Whether that's improved workers' rights, whether that's better public services, show people you're serious about change.
Prince Harry has been to Windsor Castle, where he laid a wreath and privately paid respects to the late Queen Elizabeth II. He returns to the UK for the first time in 5 months, marking a rare visit that's already drawing public interest. During his stay, the Duke of Sussex is set to attend a London awards ceremony for Well Child. That's the charity supporting seriously ill children and their families, which he's championed as patron for 17 years. Meanwhile, the Prince of Wales is to be joined by the Princess of Wales at an engagement to commemorate the life of Her late Majesty the Queen, marking the 3-year anniversary of her death. The Prince had originally been scheduled to attend this event alone. Kensington Palace sources say the Princess of Wales was keen to join her husband to commemorate and celebrate the life of the late Queen. Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to catch everyone who helped the attackers after a shooting in Jerusalem killed at least 6 people. 9 people with gunshot wounds were taken to local hospitals. 2 attackers boarded a bus and opened fire as it reached a major intersection at the northern entrance to Jerusalem. Police said 2 attackers were shot dead soon after. A spokesperson for Israeli Emergency Services, MDA, said among the 5 victims were a man aged around 50 and 3 men around 30. And an Australian mother who murdered her estranged husband's parents and aunt by feeding them a beef Wellington laced with poisonous mushrooms has been jailed for life with a minimum of 33 years. 50-year-old Erin Patterson lured her former parents-in-law, Don and Gail Patterson, both 70, and Gail Patterson's sister Heather Wilkinson to lunch at her home in Victoria in July of 2023. Mrs Wilkinson's husband, Reverend Ian Wilkinson, also ate the meal but survived after receiving a liver transplant and spending months in hospital. Patterson, a mother of two, had made the pastry dish with deadly death cap mushrooms. The judge said her lack of remorse meant her sentence should be lengthy. Those are the latest headlines. For now, more in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3526 and €1.1535. The price of gold, £2,671.87 per ounce. And the FTSE 100 is at 9,221 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is now 9 minutes past 1, and the newly appointed Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, says that migrants will be returned to France imminently.
Now, that is as she prepares to host a security alliance alongside ministers from countries like America and Canada to discuss the rise of people smuggling gangs.
Well, it comes after 1,000 migrants crossed the Channel on the Home Secretary's first full day in office, bringing the total this year to over £30,000. Just one of the many issues that the government is facing at this time.
30,000 people.
That's
not pounds.
30,000 people. People. There we go. If it was only £30,000, I think we could all
manage that.
We could manage. I think so. Rather more than £30,000 per migrant, I think, is the issue.
A day.
Yeah. Well, there we go. But this is all, of course, while the government is facing many issues on many fronts. And a deputy leadership election. The starting gun has now fired off, of which, let's speak to Christopher Hope, live from Downing Street, our political editor, on all of the above. Chris, I just wanted to ask you, first of all, on the deputy leadership election, hustings as soon as this Wednesday.
That's right. I think nominations are closing by tonight, I think, and then hustings on Wednesday, and see how that plays out. We'll get a result of this by the 25th of October. By then, 300,000 members will have voted. What we do know, though, is that Shabana Mahmood, who's the new Home Secretary, had been tipped overnight as being the kind of number 10 nomination. She will not be standing to be deputy leader. Others who may stand, David Lammy, he's been having a meeting moments ago in Downing Street behind me. Didn't say much when he left, though. But the issue they've got in the government, I think, is what if it's a critic, someone from the backbenches, someone who's fallen out in the past with Sir Keir Starmer, someone who was sacked in the past by Sir Keir Starmer. Louise Hager, of course, she resigned, didn't she, after that historic conviction was revealed by her for falsely reporting the theft of a mobile phone. She could stand. She's a northern voice, but would she then be within the party almost the kind of the critic overseas, looking at the government but not in the government? Because this lunchtime the government said to us in terms that David Lammy is a Deputy Prime Minister and will remain Deputy Prime Minister whatever the results of this election. So the way this Labour Party is structured, they always elect that Deputy Leader. Normally, that Deputy Leader becomes the Deputy Prime Minister. It happened with John Prescott in Tony Blair's government and happened most recently with Angela Rayner since the last election. That won't happen again. There's no guarantee the new Deputy Leader will get any job in government at all. That could be a big problem, I think, for Sir Keir Starmer going forward.
That is a really significant issue because there is going to be a divide here. Is it going to be someone who is a minister who gets this role, who's bound by collective responsibility, who's going to stick to the government line, or could this become a bit of a bully pulpit, someone outside of the government given an elevated status to criticise the government?
Well, Chris, could Angela Rayner chuck her hat into the ring?
I doubt Angela Rayner will chuck her hat into the ring, having just resigned from that position last Friday. But other names that could go forward, Dame Emily Thornberry, of course. Now, she's the chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee. She notably was not given the job of Attorney General, having shadowed that role when in opposition. Others too, Lucy Powell, of course, the leader of the House of Commons, who was sacked last Friday, as she said in a letter to the Prime Minister, or in a statement, sorry, on social media last Friday. She was sacked. Other names too, you could see Alison McGovern, even Lisa Nandy. Lisa Nandy might be a quite safe choice for the government, given she is the Culture Secretary. So there are issues here that will be bubbling under as we go through and towards the Labour Party conference. But outside of the Labour Party machinations, we have heard from Downing Street about the issue of small boats. We've heard from Number 10 today, they say the first returns of sending back those people who have arrived here illegally will take place by the end of this month. A hard-hitting advertising campaign to dissuade people from giving money to the people smugglers and crossing the channel will start to play out to those groups as well. They want to warn them, don't risk your lives. It's false to say you won't be returned. And also on those tube strikes, Tom, you mentioned on your long commute to get to work earlier today, the government says that Londoners will be rightly fed up with these tube strikes for parents who try to drop their children at school, or Londoners get to work. They want to get the RMT and TfL around the table. And also the Trades Union Congress meeting in Brighton. The PM won't be there. He's been there for the past 4 out of 5 conferences. He's made the keynote address. Angela Rayner did the other one. But we understand it's Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, not Keir Starmer. Number 10 deny that's a snub of the unions, but it's interesting, I think, that he's not there. Instead, he addressed union bosses last week. And also on the issue of workers' rights, the speculation in today's newspapers, notably the Financial Times, that these workers' rights could be watered down. Now Angela Rayner's gone, and Justin Matters, who was piloting those measures through the Commons. That won't happen, the government says. They will reverse any changes brought in the House of Lords when it comes back to the Commons next week. So they're going to plough ahead with these workers' rights plans, which are criticised by many businesses as damaging their operations.
Interesting. I wonder if it's a sign of weakness that the Prime Minister doesn't want to face the unions. Does he think he's going to get heckled if he did a speech? Would there be... I mean, he has been heckled many, many times at the Labour Party conference in the past. But Chris Hope, thank you indeed for joining us there live on Downing Street.
Right, thank you very much, Christopher. Now, a judge has sparked outrage after wishing one of the masterminds of the 7/7 bombings all the best ahead of his release.
Well, 50-year-old Haroon Aswat has served his prison sentence for the leading role he played in the deadly 2005 bombings that killed 52 people, and will soon be released to his family in Yorkshire, despite police fears that he remains a serious threat.
Well, let's get the thoughts now of former editor of The Sun, Kelvin Mackenzie. Now, Kelvin, this guy served his time in prison. Did you feel that the way the judge was speaking was really out of touch and out of tone, or was he just saying that now this person has served his sentence, he should kind of wish him well to get on with it, and kind of so that he'll now behave? Because I thought that's kind of how it came across.
It was beyond ludicrous that you could talk to a guy who boasted, by the way, boasted to the US authorities that he was proud to be a terrorist. He didn't move away from that position. The idea that anybody could wish him well for the future. I fear for the people of Batley. Here's the guy. By the way, the US authorities say that he's not even taking the antipsychotic drugs, which are the reason why that he's finally being let out, right? So now I know this QC vaguely. I only know him because I was at Leveson and he was cross-examining me. All he is a clerk. These guys who move up to the High Court, they are like, what are they like? They're like academics who've wandered into the legal world. And there was nothing about him. He has no touchstones with humanity, that guy. All he is literally a robot that happened to read out questions to me, asking whether I was an offensive piece of tabloid turd, and I agreed, yeah, I probably was, and we all agreed to move on. So, you know, the truth about the matter is that we have a justice system in our country which doesn't reflect either what people think or what sentences should be passed down. So the issue I have is, why don't we just employ the American system? Why don't we make it vaguely political so that we wouldn't have a judge who would, from the right, who would ever say anything like this? Only some liberal dimwit would ever say anything like all the best. And other aspects of what he said included, keep taking the medication, won't you? Well, actually, if he'd read the evidence, he'd already know that actually he wasn't taking the medication because it, quotes, made him feel sleepy. This is a man who was proud of the fact that, in fact, his connections led to a load of people dying. I find it, all I think it does do is reflect on what kind of people are in the upper reaches of our judicial system today, and do they actually represent anybody? So we worried about, for instance, I worried about conservatism, and then along came reform, and it seemed to be suddenly, oh yes, there are a load of people out there who want something a bit tougher on the bone, right? I wonder whether when eventually Farage gets to power, he decides to attack this kind of liberal left. It's as though
Kelvin, is it the judges? Is it the judges that's the problem here, or is it the sentencing guidelines in the first place? I mean, this guy would be out whether or not the judge wished him well on his way out. I mean, a lot of these people got 20-year sentences in 2005, and that means in 2025 and early 2026, because of the 20 years since those trials, we are going to see quite a few of these terrorists released in the coming months. Is that the fault of the judges, or is that the fault of the politicians, frankly, and the laws?
Well, to be honest with you, had 7/7 or 2005 happened today, they wouldn't have got 20 years. They would have got 30 or 40 years. There's been a substantial upreach in sentencing policies. No, my point is that if a Farage-type figure comes to power, I think we have to have a look at the kind of people who are our judges, because it's as though the BBC runs the High Court or runs the Old Bailey. It is ridiculous. It's a left of centre. Oh, I feel very sorry for you. Oh, are you a terrorist? Are you feeling better? Are you still taking the drugs? I hope you are. I hope the people of Batley are going to look forward to seeing you as their neighbour. Give us a break. You know, it's terrible.
All right, Calvin Mackenzie, thank you very much, and apologies for the very fruity language, but we totally understand your passion. Let me just read you what the judge said. He said, I have to wish you all the best and say to you that the way forward is to keep on your medication, listen to the advice you are going to get, and keep out of the sort of things you were doing, because you saw where it ended up and you do not want to go back to that, I am sure.
Oh, we're going to give him a chance in case it does. in case it does go back to that, we give him a chance. What?
But what can you do? Because in a way he's bound by the legislation, because the guy has spent the time in prison, so he can't really allow him to be released.
I don't know. I think a creative prosecutor could probably come up with something along the lines of, this guy isn't taking his medication, let's section him. Not in a prison, but in a hospital.
That is true, actually. And given all the information he had of that, he should have done that. But then, to be honest, I sometimes think the judges don't read what they're given. And I know this because in the family courts, when I was sort of dealing with the family courts, the judge that we were given hadn't read anything, hadn't read any of it. So I was kind of battling against somebody who didn't know what they were doing.
Well, they're going through so many cases a day, aren't they? I mean, the backlog in this in the justice system is absolutely huge. Well, let's pause there for a second and take you to the Great British Giveaway. Yes, it's our biggest prize package to date, worth over an incredible £104,000. Your chance to drive away with a 4-berth motorhome, brand new, and bank in £30,000 in tax-free cash too. Here are all the details you need.
You're not going to want to miss our greatest Great British Giveaway so far. You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this brand new 2025 Benimar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. And remember, if you can dream it, you can drive it away. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Prince Harry is already back in the UK. He's been to Windsor and he's laid a wreath for the late Queen. So we'll be discussing that. But after the break...
The race is on to be the next Deputy Labour leader. All of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel. Good afternoon, Britain. Sir Keir Starmer has been warned. His party's deputy leadership contest is a make-or-break moment for the government.
Yes, Emily Thornberry is one of those considering throwing her hat into the ring to replace Angela Rayner. She's claimed the party faces the fight of our lives to keep Nigel Farage's Reform UK out of office at the next general election.
Well, for more analysis on this story, we're joined by political commentator Benedict Spence. Right, so things are spicing up for the Labour Party in probably all the wrong ways. Angela Rayner has left us in terms of the party, and now we need a deputy leader. In your view, everyone seems to be talking about it being a woman. Why do you think that should be relevant? And there are plenty of men that could potentially do this, are there?
Well, I don't think that it's relevant, but I think it shows you where Labour are mentally, that they still think that this sort of thing matters. I mean, I was listening to Paul Mason yesterday, and he was talking, going on at great length about how all of these offices of state are occupied by women and people of colour, and you're just kind of thinking, wow, it's like being back in 2005, as if this sort of thing is actually what matters to people when they can feel themselves physically getting poorer and with the juggernaut of taxes coming down the track towards them. Yes, having a woman in charge, that makes everything so much better. The thing is...
They didn't like it so much when it was Liz Truss, did they?
No, they didn't, exactly. You know, famously, we've had 3 female prime ministers of this country. All 3 of them have been very contentious amongst all sorts of people for very different reasons, it must be said. Nothing to do with them being women, I might also point out, but nonetheless, it is not a sort of a get-out-of-jail-free card. But, I mean, the thing is, in the aftermath of, you know, the nature in which the last deputy leader, deputy prime minister has left us, you might think, actually, that you want somebody who isn't going to rock the boat, isn't going to draw too much attention to themselves. So what is it that we've got? The 3 frontrunners that I am aware of, you've got Emily Thornberry, who is famous for being vociferous, a little bit snide, and also has an axe to grind with Keir Starmer. You've got Lucy Powell, who is famous most recently for calling talk about grooming gangs a dog whistle and a trope. That seems very positive. And then you've got Louise Haigh, who is not in the government because of her own, shall we say, indiscretions. They don't sound like 3 particularly good options. If you're trying to sort of sell that to the public and saying, oh, don't worry, phase 2 is off to a much better start, I think you want to go for somebody a little less noticeable for the wrong reasons.
What about David Lammy?
David Lammy, I think, has done a strangely good job as Foreign Secretary. Most of us were expecting him to be the first person to be sacked, and he actually survived a very long time. But I think, ultimately, he's been shuffled out of the Foreign Office for a reason. Obviously, he is, you know, Starmer's preferred candidate, partly because actually I think he's proven surprisingly good at elements of diplomacy. And I think in terms of trying to bridge the gap between, you know, North and South, between unions and the government in lieu of, you know, having lost Angela Rayner, perhaps Starmer thinks that this is an ally who would work particularly well. I'm not so sure. And I also don't think the party is going to go for somebody who is a Starmer ally. I think they'll go for somebody who is planted very firmly on the left.
But of course, Benedict, we've just got the rules for the election. The vote is going to be next month, but the nominations close this very week. The franchise has been frozen as of today. There'll be hustings on Wednesday. Nominations close on Thursday. Given that the NEC has decided such a short timetable, I mean, this is basically what Number 10 would have preferred. They want to keep this short and controlled. Ideally, they want to get a yes man, or should I say yes woman, in there to go along with the Prime Minister. But how much can they actually engineer this election?
I mean, they can try, but ultimately we know full well just how much the Labour Party is sort of a lure unto itself. I mean, that's how we got Jeremy Corbyn, because they opened it up and said, well, let's have a debate. And that all went terribly well, didn't it? And I think that is partly why they're trying to keep it tight. They're trying to give the impression that they're on top of it, that they're handling it, and that this is going to happen very quickly in the aftermath of the reshuffle, that it isn't going to become sort of a fiasco. But let's be clear, all it takes is for one particularly overt and popular left-wing individual to gain a little bit of traction, having been nominated in that period of time. And who knows? I mean, as much as we might all sit here and go, Zach Polanski isn't that big a threat in the Green Party, and whatever Jeremy Corbyn's current circus is called, you know, they don't pose that much of a threat. Actually, to the Labour Party, they do. And you can kind of sense that. A lot of the MPs and the members are wondering, ooh, to counteract Nigel Farage and reform, we don't want to tack to the centre. What we really need to do is tack to the left. You and I might think that that's a foolish thing to do, but that is kind of what they're thinking.
All right, Benedict Spence, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you this afternoon.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's programme, including
a landmark new census, which has revealed schools are being forced to pick up the pieces for vulnerable children as overstretched health and social services fail them. Stay tuned for the details on all of that. Much more after your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The top story. Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, has confirmed she won't be running for Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Labour's ruling body meets today to draw up plans for a Deputy Leadership election as MPs consider whether to enter the race to replace Angela Rayner. It's as the Home Secretary says the UK could suspend visas from countries that don't play ball and agree to returns deals for migrants. She prepares to host a security alliance alongside ministers from countries like America and Canada to discuss the rise of people smuggling gangs. Commuters across the capital are facing severe disruption as the tube strike has shut down nearly all London Underground services. Tube staff have begun a 5-day strike over pay and conditions. The Princess of Wales has joined her husband at an engagement to mark the 3rd anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's death. Those are the latest headlines for now. More at the top of the hour.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more, or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Well, lots more coming up on today's programme, including this curious story, fascinating as it is. This Australian mother who murdered her husband's parents by feeding them poisonous mushrooms. Well, she's been sentenced to a minimum term of 33 years behind bars.
All of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's set to be a day of sunshine and showers, but many eastern areas will see a mostly dry day, plenty of sunny spells, though feeling a little cooler than it did yesterday. And the reason for the showers, well, it's all thanks to low pressure just to the south of Iceland, dragging in some frontal systems at times. So it's mainly western areas that will see the bulk of the showers today. Some could turn heavy. We may see some hail and thunder, but most showers should be light to moderate, though they could be fairly blustery around western coasts of Scotland, and many eastern areas should avoid the bulk of the showers. So a mostly dry day ahead for much of England and Wales, and seeing the return of the sunshine after quite an unsettled day yesterday. Similar temperatures, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius. Then to finish off the day, we are still going to see some of these showers continue. Once again, fairly blustery around western coasts of Scotland, but across the far northeast, it should be a mostly dry and clear end to the day. Similar across Northern Ireland, northwestern parts of England, still a chance we could see some showers, and also across Wales and parts of southwest England. But across central areas, parts of the east-southeast, once again, a dry and clear end to the day. And any showers remaining across the west will soon ease away through the course of the night, and it's going to leave plenty of clear spells across the country, so it is going to be feeling fairly cool, quite fresh by the time we reach the early hours of the morning. We may even see some patchy mist and fog in places. But a slightly different story across southern parts of Wales, southwest England, more cloud and a bit of a breeze picking up here. But it is set to be a cool, fresh start, lows reaching around 7 to 8 degrees Celsius. A fairly similar day on Tuesday. Once again, we could see some showers, particularly across the west, but for the bulk of the country, a dry and settled day ahead. Across parts of Wales, southwest England, once again, we'll see more clouds, so hazy sorts of spells of sunshine, and then once again, we could see some heavy downpours by the afternoon. But once again, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon. This is the latest AI travel news from GBnews.com. The A876 Clackmannanshire Bridge remains closed in both directions. Motorists should use the Kincardine Bridge as an alternative route. There's a crash on the M6 northbound between Junction 7 and Junction 8, affecting 3 of 4 lanes, leading to significant delays of 1 hour. Drivers on the M20 westbound in Kent are encountering a vehicle fire between Junction 3 and Junction 1, resulting in a complete closure. Normal traffic flows are anticipated to return later this evening. And on the trains, Chiltern Railways reports disruptions to and from London Marylebone, while Northern is replacing trains with buses between Corkicle and Whitehaven. Stay up to date at gbnews.com for more travel news.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. Now, this is an incredible story. The Australia mushroom murderer, Erin Patterson, has been sentenced to life in prison with a non-parole period of 33 years after poisoning relatives with a beef Wellington laced with dead cat mushrooms.
Sounds like something out of some sort of fantasy novel, but
well,
Sophie
she was
Reaper.
obsessed with true crime.
Well, absolutely. Shall we get a reminder on the whole scale of this extraordinary story with our very own reporter, Sophie Reaper?
An act of evil that rocked a small Australian town. In July of 2023, Erin Patterson lured 4 members of her family to her house with the promise of a home-cooked meal. They sat at this table and began to eat a beef Wellington they thought had been made with love. Instead, it had been made with poisonous death cap mushrooms and was designed to kill them. All of the diners were initially treated at Leongatha Hospital. However, Although she too alleged to have been taken ill, CCTV showed Erin stopping at a service station before going to the hospital. She also discharged herself from treatment after just 1 day. Meanwhile, just a week later, the toxic lunch would claim the lives of Erin's mother-in-law, Gail, her father-in-law, Donald, and Gail's sister, Heather. That left the only survivor of the meal as Heather's husband, Ian Wilkinson. Following a huge police investigation, Erin Patterson was initially charged with 3 counts of murder and 5 counts of attempted murder. That included 4 counts of also attempting to poison her estranged husband Simon on several previous occasions. In fact, he told a pre-trial hearing that he'd been invited to the lunch in 2023, but ultimately cancelled last minute. He said, "After the first time I got sick, I had the idea I got sick from Erin's food. As a result, he began keeping a spreadsheet of his wife's cooking and how it had made him ill." The previous alleged poisonings left Simon close to death, leaving him temporarily paralysed and with part of his bowel removed. However, the prosecution eventually dropped the 4 attempted murder charges relating to Simon on the eve of the trial, and so they were never heard before a jury. In April this year, a court began to hear details of the 3 murder and 1 attempted murder charges faced by Erin Patterson. Throughout the trial, Patterson maintained her innocence, calling the deaths a terrible accident. Despite this, in July, a jury found her guilty on all 4 counts. Now the so-called mushroom murderer, she awaits a life behind bars, as her remaining friends and family attempt to pick up the pieces of their lives and move on. Sophie Reaper, GB News.
Wow, isn't it? Some people, really. Seriously, apparently this lady was obsessed with true crime and now true crime fans are obsessed with her.
Well, that's the way it goes, isn't it? It's sort of circular. I do wonder, though, I wonder if there's a sort of sense of responsibility reporting this. Because so often when there's something big that happens like that and people sort of look at it, get inspired, get copycats, I'm just saying, check your mushrooms.
Yeah, I wonder if there's anything you can put in there to see whether someone's done something to your food. Or just don't go to your ex's house for a meal.
The old kings of England used to have testers, didn't they?
Yeah.
Someone to eat the food first. I think the Roman emperors did that too.
Yeah.
It's not the best job.
Not at all, no. Don't eat this. No, I'm not laughing, though, because people did die on that. That was pretty horrible. Right, well, 41 minutes after 1 o'clock. If you've just tuned in, welcome aboard. This is GB News. You're watching Good Afternoon Britain.
Now, schools are being forced to pick up the pieces for vulnerable children as overstretched health and social services fail them.
A study will reveal that from mental health struggles and bereavement to homelessness and special educational needs, teachers and school staff are increasingly stepping in to support pupils with complex and wide-ranging challenges, often without the resources or training to do so.
Well, joining us now is the Children's Commissioner for England, Dame Rachel de Souza. Thanks so much for being with us here on Good Afternoon Britain. Firstly, what is actually the state of this across the country?
Yeah, so look, we didn't know, which is why I did this survey. So I'd sort of surveyed 1 million children and they talked to me about needing and wanting to be in school, but they had problems like, mental health concerns or this or that. So I thought, let me just go have a look at the schools. So I surveyed every single head teacher in the country. I used my statutory powers to do it. And I asked them, what are your biggest concerns? What are your concerns for your children? I found out what services they were offering, what professionals were in school, and I was pretty shocked. Do you know only 1 in 5 secondary schools have a school nurse? I mean, it's really shocking when you would think everyone did. Only 1 in 5, and we've got, massively rising syphilis and gonorrhea statistics. With the under 18s being the second largest growing group. We need school nurses in school, keeping children safe and looking after them. We also, we found out amazing things. We found out that head teachers were more worried about the money and funds for wider services like mental health, social care, poverty things, for early help for really poor children, than they were about their own budgets, because things have got so bad, and they're the things that are stopping children coming in. So to put it in a nutshell, I think over the last 10 years, school education has got a lot better. You know, we are, in terms of what we're teaching children, what we know about that is really strong. But wider services, I'm afraid, have just really gone downhill. And that is preventing a lot of children getting the support they need to get into school.
I suppose there's a philosophical question here in terms of what is the role of a school? Is the role of a school to be a wraparound social service? Or is the role of the school to do reading, writing and arithmetic? And I suppose at the moment, one could argue, isn't the latter more important than the former?
Look, 75% of schools are saying they're already doing all those services, trying to help there, because the services that are meant to be there are not there. And unfortunately, if you're homeless, if you're a child who's got a parent in prison, if you are waiting for mental health services, at the moment, schools don't even know. They're guessing at who these children are. That's how there's such a lack of joined upness. And that's going to affect how a child is in school. So for me, it's not about making schools do all of this. Although head teachers tell me they want to do more, what it's about is making sure the professionals that are needed are wrapped around schools and are able to help children so they can get to school. I mean, basically, we're in the 21st century. Don't you think data should be able to tell a head teacher whether a child is, homeless or is, has a parent in prison? At the moment, no. At the moment, it's not the case.
Well, you'd think that they could. But the teachers are already under a lot of strain. I know. I've got 2 children at school, and the teachers do an incredible job, I must say. Listen, Dame Rachel D'Souza, thank you very much. She's the Children's Commissioner for England. There's just too much for them to do, really. I mean, having to deal with all the mental health issues and deal with things that, poor parenting, and having to literally be a third parent if the kids are lucky to have
absolutely. And the amount of... my mum's a teacher.
Is she?
She is at a primary school, and the amount of work that she has to do that isn't anything to do with actually teaching the children. It's all of the extra stuff that's on top of that, and the form filling and...
Yeah, I know. Bless her.
My goodness.
Bless her. Great teachers. I had some very good teachers, and I also had some very bad ones. But this is...
You're not allowed to say that.
No, it's true. I'm just telling the truth.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yes, Prince Harry, he's back in Britain, and he's been in Windsor, where he laid a wreath and flowers, paying his private respect to the late Queen. But after 18 months, will he finally meet his father?
But now, if you are in search of some winter sun, because obviously it's getting cold now, although it's actually quite sunny outside, here are the forecasts of some of the top European holiday destinations.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello there. An unsettled couple of days to come across parts of Spain and Italy with some heavy showers around. But for the Canaries, actually, next couple of days, largely fine, apart from the odd shower around. Plenty of sunshine, actually, for parts of Portugal and western Spain. But for eastern Spain, the Balearics, parts of Italy, southern France, some heavy and thundery downpours around. But for much of Greece and Turkey, fine, a couple of days to come, with temperatures here reaching the high 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
She's got it all wrapped up, hasn't she?
Yeah, £2,000 worth of gifts all set to go under the tree. I admire people who go out to the Christmas Eve and buy all their presents.
Oh, it's hellish. It's hellish.
Have you done that?
I have done it once or twice, yeah.
Oh dear.
So you have to buy for so many people, the dog, the cat, your partner. I mean, honestly.
It's never ending.
Never ending.
I've tried stockpiling before, and then when it comes to Christmas Eve, I'd get everything out thinking I've got loads and loads and loads. And I feel like I haven't got enough, and then I end up panic buying.
I like the whole festive period. It's my birthday 2 weeks before Christmas, so I like doing the shopping when the trees are up and the lights are out, and it's like, you know, proper Christmas vibe to it. It just feels wrong doing it so far in advance.
So you're Sagittarius?
Yeah.
What day do you? I'm the 16th.
I'm just before you. I'm the 11th.
Oh.
That's my granny's birthday.
I know.
Nice date. Yeah. Do you like to shop physically in person in the shops? Would you do it online?
Normally, all year round, I absolutely loathe shopping, absolutely loathe it with a passion. But I do like Christmas shopping. I like buying stuff for other people.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And toys for your husband.
And toys for my husband. Yeah, we're talking about Christmas toys as well, weren't we, earlier on?
Yeah.
And the thing I was saying to Biggins is about sort of like buying toys for grown men.
Yes.
But my husband is at that age now where he's reliving his past, and I want to buy him the little toys he couldn't afford when he was a kid.
So what sort of toys are we talking?
Little cars he couldn't... Not that, no. Don't go back to that conversation.
What, like
the little cars he couldn't afford when he was a little
rods.
boy. There were little Tonka toys, and
Yeah,
he couldn't
hot
afford
rods.
them when he was a kid. He had second
Is it Hot Wheels?
Yeah.
Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels.
Hot rods.
Hot rods.
Hot rods.
Hot Wheels.
Carry on up GB News breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
Hot rods are the big racing cars, aren't they?
Yeah. Very big.
Hot Wheels.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's just gone 10 to 2. Now, Prince Harry has landed back in the UK for the first time in 5 months.
Sources confirm that Prince Harry has left Windsor in the last few hours, where he laid a wreath and flowers and privately paid respects to the late Queen.
Well, during his stay, the Duke of Sussex is set to attend a London awards ceremony for Wellchild, the charity supporting seriously ill children and families, which he's championed as a patron for 17 years.
However, growing speculation surrounds whether the Prince will reunite with his father, the King, and, of course, maybe William during his visit. Just you joining us now. It is royal broadcaster Rafe Heidel Manku. So, Prince Harry, apparently he got royal protection. We're all wondering whether he got the high level, the Ravik protection, or whether he just got a police escort and things. So what more can you tell us? What do you know?
Well, the same as you, there's a great deal of security around security and what is told to us and what's not. As long as Prince Harry provides 28 days notice to the UK about an upcoming visit, then his visit will be assessed on security grounds as to what level of security he is entitled to receive. We know, of course, that as soon as he landed down at Heathrow, he went straight to Windsor Castle, because today, of course, marks the 3rd anniversary of the death of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, and the accession of his father. And so, of course, when he's within the royal precincts, then he's guaranteed that there's certainly the very highest level of royal security. He paid a brief visit to St George's Chapel, Windsor, the same chapel, of course, in which he got married to the then Meghan Markle, now Duchess of Sussex. A sad visit this time to lay a wreath on his mother's grave before embarking on his rest of his itinerary. 8 miles away at Sunningdale in Berkshire, the Prince of Wales and the Princess of Wales were also paying tribute to the Prince of Wales' grandmother, the Queen, at a ceremony there for the Women's Institute, an organisation close to her heart. So the two brothers were very close geographically, 8 miles apart, much further in terms of their emotional connection and in terms of an opportunity for reconciliation, I dare say.
Now, this is all, of course, amidst this feud that has now been going on I don't know how many years. I suppose reconciliation has got to be the watchword, and there are occasions where we do see these figures back together again. But ultimately, is it even possible to have a wide sense of reconciliation without a public acknowledgement of what's gone wrong?
Well, I think the first point is whether or not we're going to see any effort made for a private reconciliation before there can be any public statement. I think the private reconciliation has to come first with agreement that there will be some sort of public statement, perhaps, or simply everything in the royal family is done through symbolism. I think the symbolism of attending events together, as they did briefly, of course, after the death of Prince Philip, for example, and so forth. We did see a bit of that. That's key. There's no indication at all that that's going to be happening between the brothers, of course, but we have had indications recently. We had a meeting, a private meeting, which was held very publicly on a balcony overlooking Green Park. You may wonder why they did that, between the chief staff of Prince Harry and the chief staff of the King. Whether anything will come of that, we don't know. But if there is going to be a reconciliation, it will certainly be between father and son rather than between brother and brother, at least at first instance. We know, of course, that Prince Harry met with the King briefly for half an hour last time he was here. But we still need to know whether that will happen this time.
We're running out of time, Ray, so we'll have to leave it there. Hopefully there will be some sort of reconciliation. That's Rafe Heidel at Manku. Weather is up next.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. If you are unlucky enough to catch any afternoon showers, well, this evening they should be mostly easing away, turning cooler under clear skies where we may see some mist and fog develop. But for the time being, there's still plenty of showers across western areas, more organised bands of rain just starting to push into parts of Wales and southwest England. Some blustery showers at times too across northwestern parts of Scotland, but the bulk of the showers will eventually ease away before we see a further band start to push into parts of Wales and southwest England once again. But for many, turning mostly dry overnight and under the clear skies, it's likely we'll see some patchy mist and fog develop, particularly in prone areas. Feeling a bit cooler and fresher by the time we reach the morning, lows reaching around 8 to 9 degrees Celsius in the north. Then to start the day off on Tuesday, once again there should be plenty of clear skies, particularly across the far northeast of Scotland. Still, once again in prone areas, we could see some mist and fog develop by the time we reach the early hours of the morning. It should clear away fairly quickly. A cloudier start across Northern Ireland with a few showers starting to skirt their way inwards. Once again across southern parts of Wales, parts of Devon and Cornwall too. Cloudier here with a risk of showers. And that's pretty much the theme for the rest of the day. Once again, the best of the sunshine will be across the far east and southeast of England, and it'll still be mostly dry across the west, bar a few occasional showers. The bulk of the showers across parts of Wales and parts of Cornwall later into the afternoon, where we'll start to see the breeze pick up, but any western areas will start to see more hazy spells of sunshine, whereas we'll see a few more blue skies across the east. Similar temperatures to today, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius. Into the evening, this band of showers, which could be heavy at time, will slowly push their way eastwards, leading us into an unsettled day for the middle part of the week. And the showers, the spells of rain, are set to continue on Thursday and Friday too. While we do see any sunshine, it will still remain pleasant.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 2 o'clock on Monday, the 8th of September. I'm Tom Harwood.
And I'm Nana Acquia.
Now, if the Labour Party didn't have enough problems, more than 1,000 small boat migrants arrived on Shabana Mahmood's first full day as Home Secretary.
The Prime Minister has been warned that the deputy leadership race is a make-or-break moment for his government, with the party facing the fight of its life amid the rise of Reform UK. We'll bring you the runners and riders later on in the programme.
As day two of the Trades Union Conference gets underway, the General Secretary of the TUC, Paul Nowak, tells GB News that the government have to start delivering on their manifesto promises.
Day in my Congress speech, I'll be asking the government to show whose side they're on, to be on the side of working class communities up and down the country, and to deliver the change that people voted for.
Yes, I'm in Brighton, where the unions are flexing their muscles at the Starmer government. Could we be heading for civil war on the left of British politics? Find out more with me very soon.
And the Tories say parents should be able to opt their children out of screen-based homework and ask for them to be given a paper and pen alternative. Do you think that's fair?
It's not just Brits losing weight, it's our favourite chocolates too. Yes, stay tuned to find out why some high street staples are getting smaller and lighter.
I noticed, Tom, that you always have a notepad.
I do.
I'm the same. Snap.
I think jotting notes down on a physical notebook is very you internalise what you write way more than if you're just tapping away at a keyboard.
It's really therapeutic as well, though I can't read what I've written afterwards, which is unfortunate. But when if I'm watching something and I write it down, I digest the information and it's there. So I've almost learnt it and in a way slightly memorised it.
Yeah.
When I'm typing it out, it's like, and I type that wrong and I can't. Can you touch type?
But also, I think I can. I mean, I can't formally touch type, but I can type and not look what I'm doing, and it's basically right.
I wish I could.
But here's the thing: when you're typing a document, you're trying to find a bit that you wrote earlier. You're scrolling up and down. It's moving all over the place on the screen. Here, you sort of remember where you've written something.
Yeah, that's right.
You can come back to it. I know that I was on that page. I know that this was on this page. It was up, down. And if I want to draw a little circle around it or doodle a little picture, I can. Not that I've doodled a picture. I don't think I've done a picture anytime soon. I do draw boxes around things.
I
think
do, and I underline
important.
things, and I even have my multicoloured pens, which I should have brought in. But it can get a bit messy then, you know. Oh, I put that one for that. Oh, where's the purple one? But the thing is, though, on the other side of that, because my son Ivory has a slight weakness on one side, so the touch typing and learning to use the keyboard is very, very useful to him. Because what slows him down, he's very clever, but what slows him down is the actual writing of things.
Right.
So there is a case for it, but if you can, I think nothing beats a notepad
also,
and pen.
It's almost the inverse argument, isn't it? People say that kids should use technology because you're going to have to use that in your job. Well, they should also use pen and paper because, do you know what? There's a lot of jobs where actually note-taking is really, really useful, not least in meetings or television programmes.
It's true, although you could just switch record and it could just record everything,
That's
voice
true.
record on a phone and stuff like that, which is handy. But what do you think? Pen or laptop or computer? Send us your thoughts, post your comments at gbnews.com/your say. But first, let's get your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The top stories. Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, has confirmed she will not be running for Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Labour's ruling body meets today to draw up plans for a deputy leadership election as MPs consider whether to enter the race to replace Angela Rayner. The National Executive Committee will hold talks aimed at deciding on a timeline and rules for the contest, including how many nominations from MPs will be needed for candidates to make a ballot. It's as the Home Secretary says the UK could suspend visas from countries that do not play ball and agree to return stills for migrants. She hosts a security alliance today alongside ministers from countries like America and Canada to discuss the rise of people smuggling gangs. It comes after 1,000 migrants crossed the Channel on the Home Secretary's first full day in office, bringing the total this year to over 30,000. Ms Mahmood has vowed to do whatever it takes to stop small boat crossings.
There is interesting space for collaboration, particularly on how we deal with countries who do not take their citizens back. So making sure that we are able to return out of our countries people who have no right to be in our countries and send them back to their home countries. So for the countries that do not play ball, we've been talking about how we can take much more coordinated action between the Five Eyes countries. And for us, that means including possibly the cutting of visas in the future, just to say, you know, we do expect countries to play ball, play by the rules, and if one of your citizens has no right to be in our country, you do need to take them back.
Elsewhere, Downing Street has called on the RMT union and Transport for London to get back to the negotiating table to end the tube strike. Commuters across the capital are facing severe disruption as the tube strike has shut down almost all London Underground services. Tube staff have begun a 5-day strike over pay and conditions. TfL has offered a 3.4% pay rise, which it described as fair, and said it cannot afford to meet the RMT's demand for a cut in the working week. Nick Dent, London Underground's Director of Customer Operations, said union demands for a cut in the 35-hour week was simply unaffordable and would cost hundreds of millions of pounds. Tube drivers can already earn up to £72,849 a year for a 35-hour week. TUC General Secretary Paul Novak spoke this morning.
Obviously, decisions about the relationship between Unite and Labour are down to Sharon and her members. What I would say this is, even the Prime Minister himself last week said that he understood that people were frustrated and angry that change hadn't been delivered as fast as people want it. And that's what the government was elected 14 months ago to do. That manifesto had one word on the front of it: change. And I think for far too many people that still feels like a slogan rather than, you know, part of their everyday lives. So today in my Congress speech, I'll be asking the government to show whose side they're on, to be on the side of working class communities up and down the country, and to deliver the change that people voted for. Whether that's improved workers' rights, whether that's better public services, show people you're serious about change.
6 people have been killed and 6 others seriously wounded in an attack by Palestinian gunmen in Jerusalem. Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to catch everyone who helped the attackers. 2 of those attackers boarded a bus and opened fire as it reached a major intersection at the northern entrance to Jerusalem. Police said those 2 attackers were shot dead soon after. Elsewhere, an Australian mother who murdered her estranged husband's parents and aunt by feeding them a beef Wellington laced with poisonous mushrooms has been jailed for life with a minimum of 33 years. 50-year-old Erin Patterson lured her former parents-in-law Don and Gail Patterson, both 70, and Gail Patterson's sister Heather to lunch at her home in Victoria in July of 2023. Mrs Wilkinson's husband, Reverend Ian Wilkinson, also ate the meal but survived after receiving a liver transplant and spending months in hospital. Patterson, a mother of two, had made the pastry dish with deadly death cap mushrooms. The judge said her lack of remorse meant her sentence should be lengthy. Prince Harry has been to Windsor Castle, where he laid a wreath and privately paid respects to the late Queen. He returned to the UK for the first time in 5 months, marking a rare visit that's already drawing public interest. During his stay, the Duke of Sussex is set to attend a London awards ceremony for Well Child. It's a charity supporting seriously ill children and their families, which he's championed as patron for 17 years. And the Princess of Wales has joined her husband at an engagement to mark the 3rd anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's death. The Prince had originally been scheduled to attend the event alone. Kensington Palace sources say the Princess of Wales was keen to join her husband to commemorate and celebrate the life of the late Queen. Those are the latest headlines for now. More from me in half an hour.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
And here's a quick snapshot of today's markets. The pound will buy you $1.3526 and €1.1535. Price of gold, £2,671, 87 pence per ounce. And the FTSE 100 is at 9,221 points.
Cheers Britannia Wine Club proudly sponsors the GB News Financial Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. It is fast approaching 10 minutes after 2 o'clock, and the newly appointed Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, has vowed to do whatever it takes to stop small boat crossings. She added that the UK could suspend visas for countries that do not agree to return deals for migrants. The Home Secretary said that she vowed to do whatever it takes to stop small boat crossings.
Well, look, I have one top priority in my job as Home Secretary, and that is to secure our borders. And so today I've been talking to our Five Eyes partners about what more we can do to work together to make sure that our borders are secure and that our citizens feel safe. We think that there is interesting space for collaboration, particularly on how we deal with countries who do not take their citizens back. So making sure that we are able to return out of our countries people who have no right to be in our countries and send them back to their home countries. So for the countries that do not play ball, we've been talking about how we can take much more coordinated action between the Five Eyes countries. And for us, that means including possibly the cutting of visas in the future, just to say, you know, we do expect countries to play ball, play by the rules, and if one of your citizens has no right to be in our country, you do need to take them back.
Well, strong words there from the new Home Secretary, but it comes after 1,000 migrants crossed the Channel on the Home Secretary's first full day in office. That brings the total this year to over 30,000.
Well, do you know what? I actually quite like Shabana Mahmood.
Oh, really?
The reason why, OK, so she looked at sentencing guidelines, didn't like what she saw, and then set up something so she could now veto things that the Sentencing Council put forward.
Yeah.
So she has the...
She responded very quickly
She
to
responded,
that.
and that was that whole thing where if you're an ethnic minority or you're transgender or this or that, you might be given a different kind of consultation before the actual sentencing and so on and so forth. She didn't like the sound of that.
No.
She stepped in and said no. That was when she was the Justice Secretary, and said now and put in place a veto. So
do you know, it's really interesting.
So I like her for that.
Because Robert Jenrick is the Shadow Justice Secretary, and they always faced each other off during justice questions. Now, he would often attack Labour Party policy. He would often attack sort of what the government was doing or the Sentencing Council or anything else. But I've heard behind the scenes, Jenrick and Mahmood get on quite well. He would never attack her personally for anything that she was doing. I think in some ways, actually, one of the winners of the reshuffle might be Robert Jenrick, because now he's up against David Lammy, with whom he might have a lot more fun across the dispatch box.
Well, I can't get out that vision of David Lammy getting... He had 13 points on the mastermind, and in the second round, he got nothing because he answered absolutely everything incorrectly, and I just thought, well, there you have it. He is kind of a contradiction in many ways, because on one side, he was the Foreign Secretary, on the other side, he was calling for reparations. It didn't really make any sense. And there are many things that he did, you know, for example, calling Donald Trump a neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath.
I had to row back on that.
To be honest, this is not something that would ever enter my language to call anybody.
No.
So I find that quite astonishing.
But Shabana Mahmood is a really interesting figure because she is perceived to be one of the most hard-line sort of law and order figures in the Labour Party. She wants to castrate paedophiles.
Exactly.
And she wants to...
Another thing I agree with her on there.
Right.
This is why I like her. I think she's got her head screwed on correctly. She's saying the things I want to hear. I think she's slightly right-wing.
And yet she was the Justice Secretary who oversaw the prison, the early release scheme for prisoners, and where people are being let out after a third of their sentence.
But did she have much choice in that? There was no room in the prisons. So, for me, I don't like it. I think it is totally wrong. But they had nowhere to put people.
Well, I suppose the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. We'll have to see whether all the tough talk actually turns into tough policy. What do you think? gbnews.com/your say is the way to get involved.
Right, now, Sir Keir Starmer has been warned. His party's deputy leadership contest is a make-or-break moment for the government.
Well, Emily Thornberry is one of those who's considering throwing her hat into the ring to replace Angela Rayner, and she's claimed the party faces the fight of its life to keep Nigel Farage's Reform Party out of office at the next general election.
Well, let's discuss this further with political commentator Eve McQuillan. Eve, so what do you think? Keir Starmer, I mean, he had phase 2 a little while ago. This reshuffle must be phase 3. I mean, there wasn't much between the two. But what do you think? Is he right? Is this a make-or-break moment for the Labour Party, or are they already broken?
I think it's quite a big deal, this reshuffle that's happened. What we've seen on the senior ranks, just people moving around, only one minister outright sacked. But lower down, we're seeing a replacement of people who would be considered on the party's soft left and replaced with people who are closer to the centre. They would self-describe as moderates. Labour members would say on the right of Labour Party. So I guess the question for Starmer is, with these new people in place, can he really up delivery, or is the problem not the personnel but the politics?
Well, this is really interesting because the deputy leader role has, for the entirety of this period of government, been one and the same as the deputy prime minister. Now it's been split. Now the deputy prime minister is David Lammy. That's been an appointment that the prime minister can make. The deputy leader of the Labour Party could be quite a powerful position outside of the formal structures of government, therefore not bound by collective responsibility, able to criticise and cajole ministers and speak out against the direction of the government. I mean, it could be quite a powerful bully pulpit to some extent. That's got to be a worry for the Labour Party.
I think it's a worry for Starmer, who gets it, but I think it is very unlikely that it will be somebody who's completely against Starmer who gets it. It's likely to be somebody on that soft left, the branch that's been demoted, if you like, and Angela Rayner really represented, popular within the party, who is likely to work with Starmer but try to push Starmer to the left, but gently. I'm not expecting to see somebody who's going to be outright critical of the PM in the media, for instance, because they have to work together. The party's in government now. They're not campaigning. They need to deliver for people.
So, Eve, briefly then, who do you think will end up Deputy Labour Party leader? Who would you put your money on if you were a gambling lady, which I know you're not?
Well, of course, I'm not a gambling lady, but I think it would be someone from that left. If someone like Lou Hague runs, maybe her, and the group that Andy Burnham is putting together, maybe someone from that, because we know that Labour members in general are to the left of the public, and a lot of Labour members and Labour MPs are a bit frustrated with some of the things that government has been doing. You know, Labour members not keen on PIP cuts, want to see more council homes, more public services, etc. So they're going to be pushing for Starmer to be stronger on that kind of policy.
Well, there's not much time for it all to be decided. This Wednesday there'll be hustings. Thursday nominations close, so all cards have to be on the deck pretty bloomin' soon. Eve McQuillan, thanks so much for helping us talk through that. Really, it's going to be a fast-paced week in internal Labour Party politics.
All right, commuters in London are facing major disruption today as the latest industrial action on the Tube network began last night.
Well, members of the RMT, that's the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union, are demanding a 75% discount on rail travel around the country and a 32-hour working week.
Sorry, and a pay rise. Implementing these changes to working hours could cost around about £200 million.
Well, the union's General Secretary, Eddie Dempsey, says that they are not asking for the King's ransom and that fatigue, extreme shift rotations are serious issues impacting on our members' health and well-being.
Well, joining us now, former Transport Secretary Grant Shapps. Grant, do you think that they are being a little bit greedy and also perhaps not mindful of the fact that the taxpayer ultimately picks up the tab and they do get a good salary? The pay rise they're asking for is quite a lot, and also 32 hours. By reducing hours, that's an automatic pay rise. Do you think they're being unreasonable in their request?
Yes, 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 and yes, to answer all of your questions. I mean, it's just extraordinary, isn't it? You know, here is the RMT union once again holding London literally hostage whilst it carries out a whole series of completely unreasonable demands for already very well-paid tube drivers. And I'm afraid, actually, the fact of the matter is these tubes should be running themselves. It's like, what, 40 years now since the Docklands Light Railway was able to run on its own? Do you know how many further railways we've had running on their own since? Zero.
Grant, you were in government for 14 years.
No, look, I agree. I just think that, you know, we should have done it sooner. I absolutely agree. I mean, when I was Transport Secretary, I put forward plans to get the Victoria line automated. We started to fund that. We're fighting against in London, and this is to do with the way the legislation is put in place. This was the, let me get this right, I think 1999 London Act that gave the power to the mayor, meant that you can't just do these things without the mayor's okay. And of course, the mayor, a lot of that time,
doesn't that get to the heart of the problem here? That you get a lot of politicians who, with the best will in the world, want the best for whatever it is that they're trying to do. And it seems that in so many different areas of government, you have ministers who sort of want to achieve something, but are hamstrung by the courts or by devolved government or by institutional resistance, the civil service, whatever it is. It seems like our politicians these days are just so much weaker at actually getting stuff done than perhaps they were in the days of Margaret Thatcher.
Part of that is the devolution settlement itself. So when we didn't have a London mayor, then a minister could have made that decision. With a London mayor, you've got to get it past the mayor, and the mayor may not agree. In fact, the current one, Sadiq Khan, I have many an argument with him on this very issue, whilst, by the way, bailing out TfL, no fault of their own, but through COVID, to the tune of billions of pounds of taxpayers' money. But now you've got a situation where this particular government came in, settled all these union disputes. Actually, they've been going on since I was Transport Secretary, because I said, look, enough is enough. We cannot just carry on bailing you out, paying you whatever you want, always giving in to the terms and conditions you want. This government came in and said, oh, no, we'll settle with the unions. Of course, what have the unions done? They've taken that correctly as a signal that you can hold this government to ransom and hold Londoners to ransom, and that's what's happening now.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Sadiq Khan, because he's been incredibly quiet on this, and surely could he have some sort of input on this and try and help with this dispute in some way, seeing as he's part of a Labour government? He's the Labour mayor, he's elected, he oversees what happens in London. Why has he said nothing? Why is that what does he do?
It should be fundamentally embarrassing for him, shouldn't it? He should be looking at this and saying, you know, I've been mayor for all this time. I've been looking after this key relationship with the RMT, the Rail Maritime Trade Union, and he should feel responsibility. I'm not sure he really does. I think he so sympathises and so thinks that everyone should be working, you know, 32-hour week. Maybe they don't have a good enough deal. He's just not on Londoners' side. He's not.
Oh, I thought you'd frozen, Grant. I was really enjoying that.
I think the airwaves have gone on strike now.
He's probably seen it and pressed a button. But the thing is, though, Sadiq Khan, you'd expect to be doing, at least be vocal or visual in some way.
But what would you expect him to say? I mean, obviously most Londoners don't like the train strikes, but he can't speak out against the unions.
But he could come in and pacify London and say, you know, we're having a train strike, have some sort of, I don't know, mayoral oversight or some comment or some words or something.
Right.
Nothing from Sadiq Khan, and it's often that way. Sadiq, seriously, we'd love to hear your views on the strikes, and maybe you could help out in some way with the negotiations. I don't know, do something.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more to come on today's programme.
Including the Tories, who say that parents should be able to opt their children out of screen-based homework and ask for them to be given a paper and pen alternative. Do you think that's fair? But after the break.
It's day 2 of the Trades Union Conference, which gets underway. Yes, the TUC Paul Nowak, well, he tells GB News that the government have to start delivering on their manifesto promises.
Today in my Congress speech, I'll be asking the government to show whose side they're on, to be on the side of working class communities up and down the country and to deliver the change that people voted for.
All of that and more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. It's 26 minutes past 2. Now, are cracks beginning to show in the relationship between the trade unions and the Labour Party?
The leader of the Trade Union Congress, Paul Nowak, has slammed Sir Keir Starmer's government for failing to deliver on its promises. Here is what he told GB News earlier.
Even the Prime Minister himself last week said that he understood that people were frustrated and angry that change hadn't been delivered as fast as people wanted. And that's what the government was elected 14 months ago to do. That manifesto had one word on the front of it: change. And I think for far too many people that still feels like a slogan rather than part of their everyday lives. So today in my Congress speech I'll be asking the government to show whose side they're on, to be on the side of working class communities up and down the country, and to deliver the change that people voted for.
Well, could the unthinkable happen? Could some trade unions actually break relations with the Labour Party? Let's get an update on all of this and the conference itself with our political correspondent Olivia Utley down there in Brighton for us. Olivia.
Hello, yes, the mood here on the ground in Brighton is one of outright frustration, really. There are trade union leaders who I've spoken to here who previously have been at least nuanced and cautious in their criticism of the government and Keir Starmer, now being far, far more open. And one big problem for a lot of these union leaders and their members is that the departure of Angela Rayner means that the workers' rights bill, which is making its way through Parliament at the moment, looks likely to be watered down. Now, Keir Starmer did say, talking to unions last week, that he was going to put it through in full, but there are plenty of union leaders who don't believe him. Why? Well, because as well as the unions putting the pressure on Keir Starmer to get this workers' rights bill through in full, there are businesses and trade bodies putting pressure on the Prime Minister and the government from the other side. They want this bill to be watered down because they're worried that it'll strangle them in red tape and massively increase their costs. So the Prime Minister is walking a tightrope here, doesn't want to fall out with businesses, doesn't want to fall out with the unions either. I'm here with Joe Grady, who is the General Secretary of the UCU, that's the union that represents universities. Joe, how do you think Keir Starmer's performing?
Well, I think, as you've just said, trade unions want him to go further. The Employment Rights Bill for us is an important first step, but we really need to see more progressive protections for workers introduced, really just to counteract the things that we saw introduced over the past 15 years.
Do you think that it's insulting that Starmer hasn't decided to come to Brighton this week? He's come to 4 out of the last 5 TUC congresses, but he's not here now.
I'm not sure I think it's insulting, but I think it's a misstep. He needs to be in this room with us. He needs to be openly showing his support right now for the Employment Rights Bill. He needs to be listening to the debates in that room as well, debates where unions want to see Labour thrive, they want to see the country thrive. We've just had a really interesting General Secretary speech from Paul Novak talking about the importance of a wealth tax. So I do think he should be here, he should be talking to people and he should be listening.
Now, your union isn't officially affiliated with the Labour Party, lots of other unions are. Do you think there is a chance that some of the bigger unions could end up breaking away from the Labour Party and perhaps joining ranks with Jeremy Corbyn's new party or the Greens?
If Labour attempt to water down this Employment Rights Bill or step back from it, there will almost certainly be big unions leave Labour, yeah.
Would you consider joining up with either Jeremy Corbyn's party or the Greens? Might you consider voting for either of them at the next election?
Personally, I want to be a member of a strong Labour Party. I want to be a member of a political organisation that has thousands and thousands of people in every city and that has strong working class trade union roots, and that is the Labour Party. But I want to see the Labour Party being much more on the front foot. I want to see them enacting policies that are going to materially change working people's lives for the better. So this Labour Party needs to step up because they're not doing that right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So that was Joe Grady, the General Secretary of the TUC, and she had a very, very stark warning for Keir Starmer there. She says that, yes, unions will leave the Labour Party if Labour waters down that Employment Rights Bill. Couldn't be much clearer. Back to you in the studio.
Wow, significant stuff there.
Well, they've got them literally by, well, I won't say, but they've literally got
proverbials.
They have, thank you, Olivia, because obviously their workers' rights, there are many things in there. So, for example, removing 0 hours contracts, things like that, which a lot of the industry has said, no way, don't do that.
I had a 0 hours contract when I was at university, and it suited me very well because sometimes I'd want to work and other times I'd need to work, doing my university work. Not having to do hours every single week, being able to choose to take shifts when you can, it's a very important right. right. And and getting rid of 0 hours contract takes that right away from many workers who like their 0 hours contracts.
Well, we should see how that plays out, because the trade unions aren't the only ones that will be affected. It'll be businesses who are private businesses who don't have membership.
Well, let's go straight to Paris now, and I'll tell you why. We're going to look at live images inside the National Assembly there in Paris, because the Prime Minister François Bayrou is delivering a speech ahead of a crucial vote of confidence. It's likely that he will be booted out as Prime Minister, and that means that, well, really, Emmanuel Macron will be stuck in a bind. He's already got through, I think, 3 Prime Ministers this parliamentary term, and if the far left and the radical right vote together and kick this guy out, it's hard to see how the Parliament can actually find a new Prime Minister.
Crikey, it'd be very interesting. Very different the way they do things there, though, isn't it? Because the Prime Minister isn't as powerful. It's very odd.
Well, it's sort of the President does the sort of international stuff, the Prime Minister does the more domestic stuff.
But you never hear of this guy, though, do you know what I mean?
No.
So it's interesting why he doesn't really have much power. He doesn't seem to do anything.
Well, in order to pass legislation, really important, and it's sort of, I suppose, an indication of whether or not Macron has a parliamentary majority, a coalition that can pass legislation. Is he going to be a lame duck president, just doing the sort of handshakes around the world, but actually not being able to do anything at home, or will he actually be able to get stuff done?
Well, we shall see. We'll keep our eyes on that and keep you posted. This is Good Afternoon Britain on GB News. Lots more coming up on today's show.
Yeah, it's worth noting that the far left is saying that Macron should resign if he loses his Prime Minister. I'm not sure he'll do that. But it's not just Brits losing weight here at home, it's favourite chocolates too. Stay tuned to find out why some of our high street staples are getting lighter. All of that and much more after your latest news headlines.
Good afternoon. The top stories. Shabana Mahmood, the new Home Secretary, has confirmed she will not be running for Deputy Leader of the Labour Party. Labour's ruling body meets today to draw up plans for a Deputy Leadership election as MPs consider whether to enter the race to replace Angela Rayner. It's as the Home Secretary says the UK could suspend visas from countries that don't play ball and agree to returns deals for migrants. She prepares to host a security alliance alongside ministers from countries like America and Canada to discuss the rise of people smuggling gangs. Commuters across the capital facing a severe disruption as a tube strike has shut down nearly all London Underground services. Tube staff have begun a 5-day strike over paying conditions. Princess of Wales has joined her husband at an engagement to mark the 3rd anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's death. And those are the latest headlines for now. More news at the top of the hour with Katie.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Thank you, Tatiana. Lots more coming up on today's show, including the Tories who say parents should be able to opt their children out of screen-based homework and ask for them to be given a paper and pen alternative. Do you think that's fair?
All of that and much more to come. You're with GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, good morning. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. It's set to be a day of sunshine and showers, but many eastern areas will see a mostly dry day, plenty of sunny spells, though feeling a little cooler than it did yesterday. And the reason for the showers, well, it's all thanks to low pressure just to the south of Iceland, dragging in some frontal systems at times. So it's mainly western areas that will see the bulk of the showers today. Some could turn heavy. We may see some hail and thunder, but most showers should be light to moderate, though they could be fairly blustery around western coasts of Scotland, and many eastern areas should avoid the bulk of the showers. So a mostly dry day ahead for much of England and Wales, and seeing the return of the sunshine after quite an unsettled day yesterday. Similar temperatures, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius. Then to finish off the day, we are still going to see some of these showers continue. Once again, fairly blustery around western coasts of Scotland, but across the far northeast, it should be a mostly dry and clear end to the day. Similar across Northern Ireland, northwestern parts of England, still a chance we could see some showers, and also across Wales and parts of southwest England. But across central areas, parts of the east, southeast, once again, a dry and clear end to the day. And any showers remaining across the west will soon ease away through the course of the night, and it's going to leave plenty of clear spells across the country, so it is going to be feeling fairly cool, quite fresh by the time we reach the early hours of the morning. We may even see some patchy mist and fog in places. But a slightly different story across southern parts of Wales, southwest England, more cloud and a bit of a breeze picking up here. But it is set to be a cool, fresh start, lows reaching around 7 to 8 degrees Celsius. A fairly similar day on Tuesday. Once again, we could see some showers, particularly across the west, but for the bulk of the country, a dry and settled day ahead. Across parts of Wales, southwest England, once again, we'll see more clouds, so hazy sorts of spells of sunshine, and then once again, we could see some heavy downpours by the afternoon. But once again, highs reaching around 22 degrees Celsius.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A876 Clackmannanshire Bridge is closed both ways. Use the Kincardine Bridge. Expect disruptions on the M1 northbound between junctions 22 and 23 due to a collision, closing 2 lanes with delays over 20 minutes. A major incident on the M6 north between junctions 7 and 8 has shut 3 lanes, causing delays up to 1 hour. All M20 westbound lanes are closed between junctions 3 and 1 due to a vehicle fire. On the trains, Chiltern Railways has disruptions to and from London Marylebone, along with Gatwick Express services between East Croydon and Gatwick Airport. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good afternoon, Britain. 38 minutes after 2 o'clock. Conservative MPs are calling for parents to be able to opt their children out of screen-based homework.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Campaigners say that it should be possible to ask for a paper and pen alternative to all of this sort of screen-based requests.
I mean, it seems pretty obvious, but currently children as young as 5 are given homework that requires them to use computer programs or apps. But this comes as a growing number of parents are trying to reduce screen time.
Well, this week, the Conservative Party will table amendments to ensure secondary school exams remain handwritten, preventing pupils in reception, that's 4 and 5-year-olds, from being required to use tablets or computers for baseline tests too.
Well, joining us now to discuss this, Director of the Unplugged Coalition, Jennifer Powers, and the Director of Public Affairs of the Adam Smith Institute, Maxwell Marlowe. Right, well, let's start with you, Jennifer. What are your views on this?
Well, good afternoon. I really welcome this amendment and the ethos that sits behind it, which says that all the good work that schools and parents are doing to try to shield their parents from, shield their children from excessive screen use is being undermined by the amount of screen-based activity happening in and out of the classroom. So I really welcome this move to put parents' ability to opt out of online homework for their children on a statutory footing. I think that would be brilliant, and I really hope the government and the opposition parties get behind this amendment.
OK, Maxwell, what do you make of that? I thought the Adam Smith Institute was in favour of individual choice.
Well, I mean, it all sounds very good and you know, good options for children and for education, whatever else. But I think the issue here is that fundamentally, as I'm calling you from my screen, we need to have children in education to prepare them for the modern world. And I've just come upstairs from plugging away on my Excel. I don't think I'll be returning to punch cards and punch ledgers anytime soon for any database work. Likewise, if I'm sending in an op-ed for a newspaper, I'm not going to be writing it in by letter and having someone else transcribe it on the other end. I think this is, you know, it's a step back rather than a step forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if the amendment is defeated, because actually most of the procurement frameworks we see from the Department for Education, you know, comprise making life easier for teachers by doing online skills and online homework. So I'm a little bit surprised by, you know, the wanting to step back fundamentally from the brink.
Jennifer, Don't you think Maxwell makes a good point, though? If you think about, you know, we as we become educated, we learn, we evolve, we find newer ways and better ways of doing things. And surely them using the computers for educational purposes is a good kind of training their brain that these things are good for educational stuff and not just doing, you know, fun and games and things like that.
Yeah, listen, there can be really good intentional uses of technology. So if we think about maybe helping a dyslexic child read, or the use of 3D printers in DT class in secondary school, or maybe beaming in a really famous newscaster from GB News to give a talk to secondary students about career options, right? Those are all brilliant uses of technology. But what we don't need is we don't need the just default to become screen-based, because we know that creating habits in children to use screens, especially at a young age, as young as 5, has a really deleterious effect on their educational attainment, on their motivation to learn, on their eyesight. We're seeing increased rates of myopia in children and dry eyes. And, literacy rates are falling. There's some really phenomenal statistics, which you've probably covered on GB News. They came out of the National Literacy Trust recently that said that, children reading for pleasure has hit a 20-year low. So we've got literacy at stake. We've got children's health and well-being at stake. Nothing is against adults, and very successful adults like Max taking advantage of all that technology has to offer. But my goodness, let's leave our children out of it.
But Jennifer, how does this align with, obviously, in the UK, well, in England specifically, we've seen PISA scores, the way that children are sort of measured in terms of their mathematical ability, their reading ability, their writing ability. These have been rising throughout the course of the last 15 years compared to other countries around the world. How does that align with what you're saying?
Yeah, so you're right and wrong. Our PISA scores have been rising relative to where they were. But they have overall, PISA scores globally have been falling. And that's because globally adults and children are getting stupider. And that's not anything intrinsic. It's because of our environment. It's because we're spending so much more time online.
Yeah, but can I just say, sorry, Maxwell, I mean, have you got children? Because I've got children. And it's kind of handy that they can use these devices, and especially in educational purposes and things like that. Do you think that, but however, when I gave my daughter her phone and all the things, that she turned into a crazy person, do you know what I mean? So before she was being creative and doing things, here, Mummy, let me bring you the remote control, Mummy. Oh, yes, I've drawn, look at my picture, Mummy, look what I've done. As soon as she got the laptop and the phone and all that, that was gone. She doesn't do that now. Do you know what I mean? So that Jennifer was alluding to something, that the creative part of her brain, where she would write things down and do nice things for Mummy, draw me a picture and say, look, there's me, you, and little Ivory, there's us. That was gone.
I mean, we've had the discussion before, Nana, whether or not I have kids. I don't, but I was just helping my mum, who is a teacher, yesterday with some, some typing up that she needed to be done. She sometimes does struggle with digital devices and does ask for help from her family. So, but I do get what you're saying about creativity. But at the end of the day, I think it actually goes back to Tom's point about, freedom. I think if we're going to have a nationalised system of education, it should be made easier for children and teachers fundamentally to access that. The marking scheme, but it's also your choice, Nana, as a mother, to give your children connected devices. You could also give your children a brick phone or something we've been seeing actually come out of America.
That's not the point.
I'm afraid
no,
that's
not
just
the point
not
I'm
good
making.
Enough, Max.
The point I'm making is that as soon as she got those electronic things, her creativity kind of diminished.
Yeah. Listen, I just think we have to. We as parents can do all we can for our own children. But this is a collective action problem. And so I do think that there's a role for culture change and there's a role for the state. And I appreciate that for some liberal conservatives, that's really hard to hear. But there's a limit to how much that any one parent can protect their child from what other children are seeing and doing. And when we see the negative harms that are happening across society and across the economy, the worklessness rates of 20-somethings is at an all-time all-time high because of mental illness. This is due in large part due to the consumption of screens during adolescence. So I think there's really something to be said for all of us taking a good hard look at the use of screens in education. And I really welcome this amendment. And I think if the government doesn't respond, then the parents are going to continue to clamor for action, because, you know, it's not about making life easy for teachers. This is about protecting and safeguarding our children. And unless and until there is robust evidence to show that there are significant benefits from EdTech and that there are no safety concerns, I think we should hit the pause button.
All right.
OK, well, both to Jennifer Powers and Maxwell Marlowe, thanks indeed for joining us, debating that particular hot-button issue, that amendment, I think, in the House of Commons today.
It's kind of what you said before, though. When you're writing it down, there seems to be some sort of connection, and somebody sent a message saying it's because you're connecting the left and right brain. There was that philosophy that the left side was logical, the right side was creative. And some people have debunked that, but that kind of mechanism, I think, is the sort of understanding the left.
But I would dispute the fact that you can
writing.
only be creative using paints and colours and pens. Because when I was growing up, I mean, I had a little Sony camcorder, and I used to make videos. I had Sony Vegas Pro editing system on this very old Acer computer, and I used to sort of make videos with my friends and sort of create these sort of that was a huge amount of creativity. But using screens.
Yeah, well, I agree. I mean, I had a Commodore 64 and a Commodore 128. You won't remember that.
I'm aware what they are.
Double your age. but I used to write computer programs and get it just to do nothing much. But it would take hours for you to do that. So yes, they can be creative. However, my point is,
it's a balance, isn't it?
The one she was given, my daughter, the technology is different now, and you can get into stuff and you end up being just transfixed to the screen.
Well, lots more still to come here on Good Afternoon Britain. But in the meantime, let's check up on the weather abroad.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. An unsettled couple of days to come across parts of Spain and Italy with some heavy showers around. But for the Canaries, actually, next couple of days, largely fine, apart from the odd shower around. Plenty of sunshine, actually, for parts of Portugal and western Spain. But for eastern Spain, the Balearics, parts of Italy, southern France, some heavy and thundery downpours around. But for much of Greece and Turkey, fine, a couple of days to come, with temperatures here reaching the high 20s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, this is Good Afternoon Britain. We're fast approaching the end of the show. But listen, Rory sent a message in and he said, Tom, I called you Tory, Tom and Nana, lots of serious news today, yesterday and the day before. How about something light-hearted?
Oh, yeah? Yeah, should we do a bit of a light-hearted story?
Why not?
Well, how about this? As the festive season rolls in, shoppers are spotting a bit of a cheeky Christmas trick. Yes, their favourite chocolates are getting smaller.
Never. Quality Street celebrations and the Toblerone, I've seen that, are all on a serious diet thanks to shrinkflation. So you're paying the same but getting fewer sweets. Looks like even the chocolates are trying to watch their waistlines this year. Very good.
Goodness
What's
me.
your favourite?
I'm a terrible heathen. Of a box of chocolates like that, I would not go for the chocolate ones. I go for the toffee ones.
But they've got chocolate on the outside.
The little toffee pennies, or the long, sticky, fudgy things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
green triangles are quite nice. Well, my brother, my oldest brother, used to love the green triangles.
Oh, yeah.
And they would all be gone.
Don't they have coconut in them?
No, the green triangles. The long ones, the long green ones have coconut in them. But you can get them confused with the ones that have fudge in, so you've got to be careful.
Oh, this is the thing. When you're using an unfamiliar box, I'm usually a celebrations kind of person. But if it's a Quality Street or vice versa, you can bite into something and absolutely have no idea.
I think it's the blue ones are the coconut and the green ones, the long blue ones are the fudge.
That's right.
But
it's darker chocolate, isn't it?
I don't think they have coffee in any of them. I don't think they have coffee creams. I hate coffee creams.
But the problem is that we're paying the same amount of money and getting less and less stuff. Shrinkflation, it's an outrage, it's a scourge. And I mean, part of this is general inflation, but part of this is taxes on sugar.
Part of this is trying to make us lose weight and get thinner. Well, I'll just eat two. Well, listen, don't go anywhere because up next is Martin Daubney. See you tomorrow.
Superb stuff, great stuff. And you went from Tory Tom to Toffee Tom there. Look, trust me, everything shrinks as you get older, apart from your viewing figures at GB News. Hey. Fantastic show, gentlemen. Now coming up next, Shabana Mahmood getting tough on suspending visas to those who don't comply. Great. Let's start with Pakistan. How about you take back some rapists and you don't get any visas into Britain until you comply? We've already given Pakistan a new airport direction into Britain. They haven't taken anybody back in return. Let's get tough. Plus, a caravan is racist. A caravan is racist in Brighton for 6 months. It was daubed with pro-Palestine graffiti. Nothing ever done about it. As soon as a St George's flag was sprayed on it, you guessed it, the woke council towed it away within 3 days. I'll be joined by patriots who say this is two-tier truck towing. Let's try saying that with a mouthful of beer. Right, coming up next, but I'll see you first. Here is your weather.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. If you are unlucky enough to catch any afternoon showers, well, this evening they should be mostly easing away, turning cooler under clear skies where we may see some mist and fog develop. But for the time being, there's still plenty of showers across western areas, more organised bands of rain just starting to push into parts of Wales and southwest England. Some blustery showers at times too across northwestern parts of Scotland, but the bulk of the showers will eventually ease away before we see a further band start to push into parts of Wales and southwest England once again. But for many, turning mostly dry overnight and under the clear skies, it's likely we'll see some patchy mist and fog develop, particularly in prone areas. Feeling a bit cooler and fresher by the time we reach the morning, lows reaching around 8 to 9 degrees Celsius in the north. Then to start the day off on Tuesday, once again there should be plenty of clear skies, particularly across the far northeast of Scotland. Still